please rise for our national anthem.
It's morphin' time! Tigerzord, Mastodon,
Pterodactyl,
Triceratops,
saber-tooth tiger,
Tyrannosaurus!
In a world where nostalgia rages across the land, where everyone and their mother has a podcast, where there's still a movie trailer guy who says, in a world, three friends revisit films, shows, and games that molded them as they search for answers to life, the universe, and everything in between. Settle in and join us for Screen Refresh.
Welcome back to Screen Refresh, a show where we revisit the films, shows, and games from our childhood to try to take another look at what we fell in love with. As always, I'm Tim, and I'm joined by the rest of the Screen Refresh crew, Nick and Dean. We have our first guest on a movie episode tonight, a dear friend to us all and a wife to one-third of us. It's Laura.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Laura.
I'm so
I'll say hi
happy to
too.
be here.
Tim cut off our hellos. I don't know why. That's fine.
That's okay. I enjoy having Laura on as a guest.
Oh, Nick, you're the best. So I was going to say, you know, Nick and Tim, you guys are like brothers to me, and Dean, you're like a husband to me. So
Just like one.
I'm so excited to be here. I feel like I'm finally in the club.
So, Laura, would you like to let us know what brings you to this very special episode tonight?
Yes, I would love to. So when you guys first started the podcast and you said that you were revisiting the movies that really shaped your childhood, my first thought was, for me personally, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie from 1995. That is my childhood movie that I really wanted to cover. So I told Dean immediately. Well, actually, I told him I wanted to do Spice World, but then I decided I liked you guys, so I switched it to Power Rangers.
I would do Spice World.
I still would have too.
I would watch any movie for this podcast.
Oh, great.
What about, I really like Josie and the Pussycats too.
I think that one would be worth a rewatch for sure.
I'll cut that out for your benefit, Nick.
You what?
No,
I liked it. I
just-
always had like a childhood crush on Rachel Lee Cook, so I mean,
Fair.
whatever she's in, like I'm in. I don't care what it is.
Fair.
She's so pretty, but not when she wears a ponytail and glasses. Everyone knows
Yeah,
that.
and overalls. Yeah.
I feel like also Josie and the Pussycats was more satire than anything else
It
for
was.
its time.
Yeah.
like Scooby-Doo was kind of satire, right? Kind of like...
Yeah, it was like a tongue-in-cheek Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, right. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They knew what they were doing.
But that made it fun. So I would definitely, especially upon rewatch of Power Rangers, I realized, wow, this movie actually had a significant presence in my childhood growing up. And it really meant more than I thought it did because, which sounds silly because it is such a ridiculous film, but for a lot of great reasons. And rewatching it, there were certain scenes that I just recalled from pure memory and how much I enjoyed the movie. So it really brought back a lot for me. And it also allowed me to think about why did I care so much about the Power Rangers? And obviously it all comes down to the Pink
Violence.
Ranger.
Oh.
Well, I thought about
Unfettered
it.
violence.
Well, I thought about it, and this was really, truly my first exposure to female characters in an action setting. And it was interesting because I was thinking about all the movies that I watched growing up. And of course, Disney princesses show up. And you've got a lot of adventure. I was even looking at IMDb, and a lot of the movies I watched growing up fell under the category of adventure. And the action movies I really only saw were, you know, filled out by male casts. And especially in 95, I'm not even kidding. My favorite action movie was Die Hard with a Vengeance. And I remember one of my favorite characters being Katya, who was literally a terrorist. But that was because she was a strong female character.
It's like in the fighting game where there's the one female, like, I'm picking her, obviously. She's the one girl.
I always did. Yep.
Chun-Li.
I mean, Sonya Blade broke a
Till
guy's
Cammy.
neck with her legs in Mortal Kombat.
It's true.
Somehow I was allowed
I
to
saw
watch
it.
Die
I've seen
Hard,
it.
but I wasn't allowed to watch Mortal Kombat. So
You didn't get to watch Red Sonja with Bridget Wilson as a barbarian
No.
queen with Arnold Schwarzenegger as her second in command?
No, and
Wait, you mean Brigitte Nielsen?
Yeah.
You said Bridget Wilson. I was confused.
Wait, did I? Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sonya Blade.
it all
I was-
connects.
Just so
Yeah.
the corrections department doesn't hit us.
yeah, I was thinking about it, and I thought, well, there had to be, very strong female characters in films in action films at the time, and I immediately thought of Sarah Connor, and I did see T2 as a kid growing up, but for some reason, all I could really remember was the scene with the milk carton, and I didn't remember anything about Sarah Connor. So that was kind of interesting.
It's like a nightmare scene.
It is. And I think that's why
For
it
a
stuck with
child.
me. Yeah, that's why it stuck with me. And that's all I could really think of. So Power Rangers was great because the show obviously is what I started out with, and it shone a light on strong female characters. However, they seemed strong to me at the time, and then now rewatching this video, it's like
It's a little more damsel in distress than
exactly.
I think there should be.
I mean, I feel
Yeah.
like everybody at some point in this movie is a damsel in distress out of their
That's
group.
true.
Except for Tommy, let's be
That's
real.
true.
This is Tommy's world. We're all just living in it.
She totally called out for him on several occasions, and not just like, I need help. Someone come and like help me out here.
I need
Specifically,
assist.
she yelled out for Tommy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I liked how, we'll get into it, but she calls out for Tommy, and then it was like Rocky and Adam kept calling out for each other the entire time. And I was like, this is like this great bromance, like a Mikey Donnie situation.
Yes. I picked up on that as well. And I thought that was good. They kind of operated as buddy cops, I think.
Yeah. I think it's probably because once Tommy came into the show and kind of took over as the de facto leader of the group there, they needed to give the two of them who, okay, Billy was the smart one. What is the position of the Red Ranger and the Black Ranger now? Because Red Ranger's not really the leader, so pair them up together so at least they have something to do.
Right. Here, let me refer to my notes. I had it written out that the original, so I think it was Jason and Trini, they went to a peace conference, right?
Zach too.
Yep.
And
In
Zach.
Sweden.
In Sweden, as teenagers do. So that's why we have Rocky and Aisha and Adam.
Wait, they missed the movie because of that?
no,
That was
it's,
how they
No,
wrote them
that
off the
was the-
show.
Yeah, that was the in-universe explanation for it.
In
Yeah.
reality, they were poor working conditions and underpaid for the series. So they were all represented by the same agent and decided to push for better pay. And they decided, like, nah, we'll just hire three people to replace you guys.
Oof,
Yeah.
that sucks.
Yeah, so that's why they brought them in from there.
That was my big question. So that wasn't like that didn't happen in show. That was like, okay, we're done filming and now the movie, and then they were recast. Like they didn't do that swap earlier.
I don't.
If
I
you
believe
guys know.
I believe the movie was the catalyst for that, and
Okay.
then when they came back, there were different people on the show after the recording of that season.
Right.
Because I think this was during season 2 that this happened.
Yeah, I did watch a short film on YouTube about the making of this movie, and I guess
Oh, you saw that too? I was going to mention it. I completely forgot.
yeah, and they mentioned that part of the reason why they had the movie was because they shut down the 101 when they made an appearance at Universal Studios, and I'm just trying to think of what that would be like being stuck on the 101 because of the friggin' Power Rangers. That would just
I
be
mean, you wouldn't be being diverted, taking a 5-lane one-way highway and taking it off the highway would be.
that's just it's cruel and unusual
Carmageddon.
punishment in my opinion. But
I mean, like LA, La La Land did the same thing for one of those freeways, the opening sequence. So
yeah, it's just cruel.
they probably shot it right after rush hour.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
So-
oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, so how did you guys end up finding this? Like, did you see it in theaters or were you a home video child?
No, this is theaters, man. Like when this came out, this was fucking huge.
It was.
I think the only thing that was as big as this as a release in childhood was probably the Super Mario Brothers movie. We know now on how fucking terrible it was, but leading up to that, we had no idea. So it was like, holy shit, the Marios are getting a movie. This is going to be awesome. And then, what the fuck? This didn't have that, so...
The hype train was real for this, I remember. And every girl my age had the Pink Ranger Halloween costume that year, and myself included. And so everybody was just obsessed with Power Rangers. Everything was Power Rangers. And unfortunately, I did not see it in the theater, even though I'm so in love with it. And I asked my mom the other day, "Hey, Mom, why didn't I see Power Rangers in theaters?" And she said, "We didn't have money." So that was kind of a bummer. And I thought about it, but you know what? That didn't really keep me from liking it more or less. And I think while it would have been good to see it on the big screen, I don't think it would make a difference now.
I would love to say that I saw this via a HBO free preview weekend, but we actually were visiting my grandparents, and my grandfather legally paid for HBO. And I saw it when it finally hit HBO while we were at my grandparents.
No, rewatching it though, in hindsight, I do feel bad for our parents because I still enjoyed watching it, but the nostalgia train hits hard with this.
Oh, yeah.
So I enjoyed it, but I know adults probably didn't like it. And especially not watching the show, having no idea who the fuck is this Tommy guy? Who's the purple one? What's going on here? These guys are really violent. Like, and the acting is kind of like, from an adult standpoint that has no exposure to Power Rangers, I feel really bad for our parents. I'm sorry.
I feel like Ooze was the character that is there to make it up for the parents, because he did an amazing job and was genuinely funny the entire time.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I agree.
Why, thank you.
And I also think there's a few scenes in the middle of the movie that were aimed at the dads in the audience. I think that kept them happy.
I don't remember
just
any
a little
of those.
bit. Yep. Okay.
It was when they get the ninja Zords.
Just before that.
Oh.
Yeah, before that.
So this movie...
Before the Italian martial arts.
This movie, June 30th, 1995, got shellacked that
I
year
saw
by
Power
the misfortune.
Rangers when I was a kid. Nobody seems to care.
You went off on a tangent, Dean, and I thought you weren't coming back around to it. How'd you see this?
I don't remember.
I love this man.
In actuality, yeah, I liked Power Rangers first season and I guess into 2, and I don't really remember being hyped for the movie. It probably was on TV or VHS or something. I only remember Ivan Ooze, and I don't know if that's just from the trailer, because the rest of the movie I had no recollection of, so I don't even know if I saw it.
I can't believe you didn't remember the opening scene with the skydiving.
I've seen that was memorable, but I don't know if it's, again, for some reasons, if I saw some of it, part of it.
Yeah.
Going into the only thing I remembered from childhood is Ivan Ooze talking about...
You any idea what it's like to be locked up in a rotten egg for 6,000 years? It's boring. Not to mention, I've had a Charlie horse since the Renaissance.
And I don't know why that's the only thing that stuck with me as a kid. So, June 30th, 1995, as I was saying, it got shellacked by the misfortune of being in the same year as Toy Story getting released.
Oof.
So, domestically, after inflation, it took in $79.5 million to Toy Story's $403 million.
What was the budget,
gosh.
though?
It was $78.6 million. Now, I have no idea what the budget was.
I tried finding the budget and I couldn't, because I think one of the key factors
Because it was a
of this
money
film
laundering scheme by Saban.
is very hush hush.
No paper trails. It's laundered through VR troopers.
I was so curious though, because I think one of the best things about this movie, especially for me as a kid who watched the show, was just the absolute glow up Power Rangers got from going from the TV budget to a movie budget. And I I just thought it was so cool to see things kind of just turned up a little bit more. And although I don't think it would take much to beat the budget they had for the TV show, let's be honest.
This was the first time too all of the scenes were shot in America.
Yeah,
because
right.
if you've been under a rock and you've never seen a single episode of Power Rangers, the whole show is based or rather not based on, but it takes footage from a Japanese action show called Super Sentai. And what they did was they took the action clips from the show with all of the Rangers being morphed into their spandex suits. And when they're fighting the monsters, they took those clips and then mixed it in with shots that were made in America. And they kind of intercut them together. They redubbed it. They altered the storyline so that it would fit the American show. And they just completely made something brand new compared to what I've always wanted to actually watch the Japanese one just to see what's going on, because like some of the characters don't make as much sense here, whereas they have real developed storylines in the Japanese show.
Yeah.
I've never seen it available to watch anywhere, much less if it's even dubbed.
You just go to the deep web for that, probably.
Bulk and Skull were lifted directly from the original show. Same actors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which I'm glad watching this that they weren't entirely...
Damn it, I almost bought that. I'm so sorry.
I was not going for trying to fool anyone.
God damn it.
Which I'm glad Bulk and Skull in this weren't used as just the doofus comedy relief. It's like, they did some dumb stuff in it, but they were actually fairly usul. And it wasn't like eye-rolling.
I feel like they were like in the beginning and the end.
They were useful for the parts they were in, I think, but they really weren't in the film a whole lot.
Oh no,
I don't think.
maybe I think like 3 scenes.
I want more
scenes.
Bulk and Skull, personally.
As we said in our pilot episode, they are pound for pound our generation's Laurel and Hardy.
We said that?
Tim said that, yeah.
Oh.
I only remember things I said. So for anybody during that time, June 30th, 1995, that wasn't looking to see Power Rangers in theaters, they could always go see Judge Dredd with Sylvester Stallone or Ron Howard's Apollo 13 that were competition.
Yeah, same audiences.
That's interesting, because I remember, I don't remember Judge Dredd. That was like years later I watched it. But I remember when Apollo 13 came out, I had no idea that it was around the same time.
I remember for some reason being excited for Apollo 13 when I was a kid and being like, oh, we couldn't see it in theaters. And then it came on TV and I saw it in the TV guide and I made my morning of it on a Saturday and sat down with my Golden Grams and watched Apollo 13. And I have no idea why.
No, it's a good movie. I remember I was at Stop and Shop or some grocery store and it was on display and my mom bought it from me there. And I had no idea what this was about. I'm like, oh, I like space stuff. It's got some guy in a spacesuit on the front, and it says, Huston, we have a problem. Yeah,
Huston.
I've never seen it. Yeah.
Well, join us next month for
Apollo 13 with Laura.
Some other fun ones. The same month as June 1995, Pocahontas, Congo, Bridges of Madison County, and Batman Forever.
So
very
Pocahontas
storied.
was a big one for me. Yeah, that I was also squarely in the demographic for that. Not in the sense that I'm Native American, but in the sense that I was a young girl.
I was going to say, yeah, in reference to your Native American heritage.
I actually am I'm in the Elizabeth Warren sense. I'm Native American. That did come to a surprise as me with my 23andMe that I do in fact have a Native American ancestor, but that's about it. I have like one. But no, I loved Pocahontas when it first came out. I loved the animation and the music and everything. But again, I looked at Pocahontas on IMDb and it's listed as an adventure. So again, truly, you don't have young women in action. And that's why, again, it was just like Power Rangers to me just turned up the excitement. And it was really, really cool for me.
Pocahontas does action, right?
Does it? I've actually never seen
She runs
that.
around and paints the wind. And...
Join us next month when we do Pocahontas with Nick.
Yeah, I've never seen that. I stopped the Disney movies with Pocahontas, actually. Hercules was the last one I saw. Then it was Pocahontas. I didn't see Mulan. I didn't see
Oh, you're missing out there.
Hunchback of Notre Dame. I saw Mulan finally, like actually last year.
It's so good.
What's a good one?
The animated, obviously.
Yeah. After The Lion King, I gave up on the remade ones because it's just utter trash.
I'm with you
Yeah.
there.
I think we gave up on Aladdin, right, Teen? I think that's the last one we saw.
Aladdin was. I'll say one thing about Aladdin is I was surprised at how much I liked Will Smith and thought the movie needed more of him, and that would have been much better. I thought I was going to feel the opposite, like no, like he's going to ruin it, but he was actually the best part of the movie.
Yeah, I feel they tried, but they didn't try hard enough for what they were attempting to do.
Yeah,
I'm sure some of that comes down to the fact they knew it was going to be a cash cow regardless.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's when I realized too that like that's all they are at this point is just they're probably pissed with Mulan because they were expecting that big theater blowout, but COVID, and instead they got like nothing. They got reamed on Disney Plus because of it.
Yoo-hoo,
Yeah.
big theater blowout.
Big summer blowout.
Well, that's their other big cash cow.
Speaking of cash cows, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. Directed, originally supposed to be by Steve Wang, who did Guyver Dark Hero, which I know at some point we're going to do Guyver. And then I guess he had to drop out, so they got a cameraman, Brian Spicer, to direct the film, who had never seen an episode of Power Rangers, and then sat, like, just blowing through Power Rangers episodes on, like, double speed, just to get an idea of, like, what is this thing?
But isn't this his like directorial debut as well?
Yeah, he
Yes.
ended up doing other stuff too, like a lot of TV and whatnot. Some fun shows though. Did like Airy Indiana, Salute Your Shorts, Castle, Parker Lewis Can't You Lose, Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. But other than this, the only actual movies I think was McHale's Navy and For Richer or Poorer.
Which were both completely awful, right?
I don't remember.
I mean,
upon
they
reception.
It's
weren't
been a
my
while
cup
since
of
I
tea.
saw them, but I can't say they're awful. But
I like Down
I'd say
Periscope
they're probably
better.
more competent. I'd say probably got better at it by then.
Yeah. I know the writers, nothing else really turned up as far as what I was looking for there. That's Arn Olson and John Clamps. Arn Olson did the screenplay, and then the story was from Arn and John Camps. Nothing else really turned up there. I know the cast, as we mentioned at the top, that some of them from the show weren't a part of this one. That's Tui Trang, who was the Yellow Ranger, who unfortunately I know in 2001 passed away. She was in a car accident. But other than that, we had all...
No, I thought that was earlier than that.
No,
No, it was
2001.
Nope.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Austin St. John, who... Go
Really
ahead.
weird point. It's just a strange point on that. I remember that because it was around the same time that Aaliyah died. And yeah, and it was just like, wow, because I loved Aaliyah, and I wanted to see Queen of the Damned, and like I wasn't allowed.
I got kicked out of that one. I was
Yeah.
so pissed. We went to go see it and we got kicked out of the theater.
Yeah.
Throwing popcorn.
So
The guy
that
was even like, dude, I'm sorry. This is not even a real rated R movie compared to like others. It was
yeah.
so lightweight in terms of rated R. He's like, no, you guys, you can watch, what the fuck was it? Mystic River instead. And we looked at him like, get the fuck out of
Oh,
here.
like this was at the ticket counter, or like they came and extracted you.
They well, no, like I think I went in to watch it with my friend Brian, and his mom bought the tickets, and then she's like, all right, I'm heading out, and she left. And the theater caught on.
Gotcha.
They just black bag him on the way into the theater. Pull it back
Permanent
off. He's
van.
sitting in the middle of Toy Story 3. Austin St. John, who originally played the Jason Lee Scott, the Red Ranger, and Walter Jones, who played Zach, the original Black Ranger, weren't a part of this one, as we mentioned at the top. Kind of poor payment, poor working conditions. They were all part of the same agent. They kind of got replaced, went their separate ways from there. But there is a movie that's, I guess, in the works called The Order that's in pre-production that has like dozens of former Power Rangers all in it. So it's like the Walter Jones, Austin St. John, a ton of people who have played Rangers over the years. So it's kind of like a reunion thing, just none of them playing Power Rangers related characters. But I guess it's been in
development
working progress for like years.
That's cool. I found that the Black Ranger actually voiced a townsperson in Red Dead Redemption, the first one.
Who, Walter Jones, the original Black Ranger?
Yes, Walter Jones. Yes, he has it in his credits that he was a townsfolk person, basically an NPC in Red Dead.
Because I know the actor who took over as the Black Ranger as Adam is Johnny Young Bosch, who is known primarily for voice acting after doing this job. He's done shows like, if you ever heard of the anime Bleach, he's the main character. He was in, actually on our last episode of Rule of Thirds, we talked about Persona 4. He's the main character in that and the anime. He was Nero in Devil May Cry 5. He was the Iron Fist in some of the Marvel shows and Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. He's on a bunch of like Naruto. He's on Gundam, all of these things. But he's like a big animated and video game voice actor now.
Good for him.
Yeah.
I liked him in this.
Yeah, I think overall he's probably the most consistent and widely known work coming out of this afterwards. Other than the rest of them here, I know, just real quick, Jason David Frank, everybody's favorite Tommy, known for every Power Ranger property ever, and 1996, the live action game Piper, where he plays the Pied Piper of Hamelin. I remember we had it on PC as a kid. It came in a giant ass box that was like 48 discs. And you just follow along, and I guess he's a bad guy at the end. I don't know. I don't remember it. Other than this, we have Steve Cardenas, who was...
Wait a minute. So you want to talk about the Pied Piper, but you completely missed about the fact that he was an MMA fighter?
I didn't. I only included his acting.
Oh, I knew that. No, I knew he was, because if you look him up, that's one of the top things
Tommy?
that comes up.
That's like his big thing.
Huge. Yeah.
I mean, for right now.
Like current?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, he might be retired now because I think he's one of
yeah.
those like convention celebrities, and he just does a lot of like appearances and stuff, and that's just what he does now. But he was pretty active in the MMA ring for quite a while.
He's like Johnny Cage. He's like, it's not fake. I can do this.
Yeah.
He tries to morph before each fight. Someday.
I would watch.
it.
There's that like stupid comic where you see like two guys boxing and one guy's like Kame, and then the other guy's immediately like just I quit, and then it does a flash forward to the guy that quit at like the press conference. He's like, man, I know he couldn't do it, but just I didn't want to risk it, and I would probably do the same thing. Like if he just, enters the ring and he does that fucking arm swoosh thing, like it's morphin time. Like, nope, I'm done. I don't want
he brings the morpher like he's got it out in front of him. Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to be murdered by a childhood hero in this ring.
Yeah.
It's morphin' time!
Never meet your heroes. Never fight your heroes.
So I know some of the others, Steve Cardenas, who was Rocky, the Red Ranger in this one, who replaced Austin St. John, came back in things like Ninja Quest, Zeo Turbo, all the other Power Rangers properties, as well as I know David Yost, who was the original Blue Ranger and is the Blue Ranger in this as well. Billy came back in a number of the Power Rangers properties overall. As far as those that kind of made it out of this and did some other things, because actually also the character who played Aisha Campbell, Karen Ashley, came back as the Yellow Ranger in Ninja Quest, Zeo Quest, and all of that. It seems like the Power Rangers keep all of them in as many shows as they can, which I guess is nice, consistent work. But other than that, Kimberly, Amy Jo Johnson, came back for a Turbo Power Rangers movie, was on the shows Felicity, Flashpoint, The Division. She directed a movie with Felicity Huffman called Tammy's Always Dying, and she wrote and directed the movie The Space Between. So she's been doing kind of a bit of everything these days.
She was in Susie Q.
Mm-hmm. Love that movie. That movie. That came out around. What was that? Was that a DCOM?
I think so.
Yeah, those were the best. Again, nostalgia is a hell of a drug, because I'm sure if I rewatched it, it would. Although, speaking of DCOMs, I did watch Xenon, the first
Girl
one.
of the 21st Century.
Correct.
That's the one.
I rewatched that. Zetus Lapidus. I rewatched that probably within the past year. I think it was a quarantine watch, and I think it holds up.
That was after my time.
Yeah,
I have not seen it.
And
I hear a lot of women your age always mentioned it to me, or like had mentioned it in passing, like, oh yeah, like I had a girls' night. We all watched Xenon Warrior Princess. No, what was it?
Zetus Lapidus.
Wrong show.
Wrong one.
It was great. It just, I think it held up. Again, when I think of movies like this that I liked from my childhood holding up, I consider them to hold up if I think kids can watch them today and still like them. And I do think, and we can go into this later, I think with the exception of the graphics, I could totally see kids enjoying this movie today.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
I think it holds up.
Which I feel like it's something that if they really wanted to, they can probably just release the movie again and just let fans go at it and update it. I think anybody who watches Corridor Crew on YouTube did a bit where they went and tried to, I think, update the graphics for the end fight in Power Rangers.
Oh, thank God. That was a huge, like, I have a lot of notes on that because that's
Yeah.
for how amazing the whole movie looks. It's like they ran out of money and it was just the lowest bidder for the Zords.
So
Agreed.
the last actor I want to mention before I'll let you guys run into the intro here, Ivan Ooze himself, Paul Freeman, who was the Reverend Philip Shooter in Hot Fuzz, and you also might know him best as the rival archaeologist Belloc in Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark.
He was Belloc?
He was Belloc. Blew my mind clean out the back of my skull. I was not expecting those two names to link together in, oh yeah, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Belloc and Ivan Ooze.
No, my head blown moment was Richard Horvitz, because he is not credited as playing Alpha 5 in the original show.
Mm-hmm.
But through the years, I'm like, damn, why does his voice sound so familiar? And then I find out that he did Daggett from Angry Beavers,
Yep.
Invader Zim.
Oh.
I listed a few others that he did that was pretty big. But like his voice is so recognizable that I was like, holy shit, I didn't know that he's been like a part of my life in some kind of way. And like the shows I watched pretty much at every step of the way, like it was really cool. Because he's listed as something else in the original show. Like if you looked at the credits while you're watching the show, it's not listed as him.
Oh, it's just like
It says something else.
alias or pseudonym. I was gonna say a pen name, but I mean it's not a pen name if it's a. Anyway, who would like to start us off with the intro to this film?
I mean, it's Nick's show, yeah? Nick's got the reins.
I do, unless you took notes.
I mean,
I have lots of notes, but this is my first time, so I'm going to observe.
I have a 7-page Google Doc.
So this is you just wrapped it up, right? So it's the freshest in your mind.
Yeah, actually, I did. Yes, I finished watching it because it's been a busy work week. So it ended 3 minutes before we started sitting down for recording.
You know, there's nothing wrong with that. I've done that at least 3 times. So
It definitely helps.
far. Right? Maybe not like cutting it close, but I think Honey I Shrunk the No, not Honey I Shrunk the Kids. There was like one other movie we did that I was like trying to get it done within an hour of recording.
Nick was watching it in real time.
Oh, I finished it today. I was about an hour ago, or hour before we sat down.
Yeah, I can't believe that you started it and then you actually had
I
the
was too
self-control to stop it.
I was
That's
too
really
tired last
shocking.
night.
So the opening to this, very Star Warsy with that opening.
Hey! This is my show. We disagree.
We
There's a
did
mutiny.
agree.
Didn't you just say
I was being
because it was
facetious.
fresh and
making
I
jokes.
use a more joking tone?
Okay, so the movie starts and it's like Star Wars.
What's the
So
deal?
the movie
Dangerous.
begins with a crawl narrated by a mysterious female that goes over the lore and history of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And I mean, it pretty much syncs up with the show. But now that I think about it, I don't think the show really goes into its history. It's just like, oh no, evil, get 5 teenagers with attitude and bring them to the command center. And that's really
With
as far as it
attitude.
goes.
That's right.
This kind of actually gives you a bit more. substance.
Yeah.
Considering, I guess, like, you know, bigger movie, bigger plot. So it sets the viewer for the first time viewing and all that. You get to see the logo, it explodes, and then you get to see the plane carrying our heroes. It looks like they're going to be skydiving.
I was going to say,
I just want to mention about that intro. It never crossed my mind that Zordon's colossal assault vehicles he gives them, called Zords, he essentially just named them after himself. It's like if I gave you guys cars and I'm like, quick, into your Timmys. Yeah, my Timmys.
Timmobiles. I was going to say, like, yeah, it's very Star Wars. And I'm like, oh, we're going to get a flyby. Because every crawl ends with a flyby. And we do. We get a flyby.
We do. It's true.
It's a fly at.
We get a fly at, and we get every sound effect they owned for that logo explosion.
Also,
there's like a dog bark, a bell whistle.
Dolphin.
Did any of you find it weird that I couldn't place her accent? Not that we need to dwell on this, but I thought it was. I really feel like it was somebody.
She sounded weird. She
was trying to sound British. I don't think she is.
She's Australian.
That's what Australian is, trying to sound British and failing.
Isn't that what happened with Kano? Wasn't he actually a British actor, and the director was just like,
he is a British dude, I'm pretty
sure.
sure. I could be wrong.
But that's all I noticed on that.
I mean, she is like
a British accent ?
She is like a, you know, it's like why do Star Wars villains have British accents? They're like, where do they get that accent? These are otherworldly beings. So they should kind of sound funny, right?
I also wondered if it was supposed to be. I am looking at my notes. What's her name? The woman from
Dulcia?
the island, Dulcia.
I think that's. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's who it is.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, because that's Gabrielle Fitzpatrick, who I think is an Australian model.
She's Australian. I know that.
But for a while, she ended up having an ovarian cyst. She had to be removed from production. They replaced her thinking that she wasn't going to be back. And they replaced her with Mariska Hargitay from Law & Order. They filmed scenes with her, and then they decided it wasn't working out. And by the time she left production, Gabrielle Fitzpatrick was good and ready to go. So she came back in.
Where's that footage?
I have no idea.
It's a comic book guy's back room.
Well, I'll some of the little Easter egg stuff for that I'll go into once we arrive at the
organically
Forest Moon. Yeah.
Forest Moon.
So let's see. So here we get to meet our comedic relief Bulk and Skull while everyone is prepping for the skydiving.
Come on, we're out of here.
Easy, Rocky.
All right, guys, we're 15 seconds from the drop zone. All right, pinheads. The Stealth Eagle's about to fly. Ditto with a swooping swallow.
To a backing track of Red Hot Chili Peppers' cover of Higher Ground.
Great
I
song.
love this sound. It's
a great song.
I had this as a
Loved it.
kid.
This soundtrack kept upping itself every time something happened. And I'm like, how much money are they spending on this? It's like they're using songs. Yeah, like they're using songs for like 7 seconds in the background. Then like, you paid to use this as a throwaway track?
Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
I had some problems with their ADR too, because a lot of the times, especially with Kimberly, her voice just sounds weird.
Yeah. I picked up on that as well.
Like the ADR was just like all the post-processing, just they might have kind of.
Same thing with Rita. Rita is just,
At
like
first
her voice
I thought,
just seems so off.
At first I thought they were like tongue-in-cheek keeping like, you know, she was visually dubbed, like she was speaking Japanese, but they didn't, you know, they just put English over top of it. I thought they were doing that motif for a second, but yeah, I think it was just the ADR was a little spotty.
But back to the plane sequence, this was one of those scenes that really stuck with me. When I think of the movie, this is what I think of, because I just thought it was so cool. And Tommy with the snowboard in the air, like, get out of here. Nothing cooler than that.
Did Power Rangers invent snowboard skydiving? I'm not gonna.
I think so.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say yes.
With my 8 or 9 year old self being a leading expert on parachuting and skydiving, I think that was the first time I had, and the only time I had ever seen it. He pioneered and he retired it in the same run.
A true legend.
Also, I wouldn't have pegged Bulk and Skull as extreme sports guys.
They didn't really give off that vibe either when they were in the plane.
And the thing is, gotta give them kudos because they seem terrified, and then they're like, "I'll be the eagle," and then they jump out of the plane, and it's like, good for you guys.
Say what you want about them, but they did it. I wouldn't do it.
That was their full character arc and growth, and it peaked right in the beginning.
I would have liked it if you don't see them land, and then at the end of the movie, Ivan Ooze, when they're battling, they just land on top.
Shoot hasn't deployed.
So the 5 Rangers parachute down from the plane, and then they land on the ground in a spectacular way. Everyone is cheering; they're happy for it, and we learn it's actually the whole thing is meant for a charity auction or like some kind of charity event, because
That's so casual. Like,
Hey, congratulations, Tommy. The observatory just got a new lease on life. It's great, huh?
Yeah, thanks, man.
Awesome. Ryan's comedy's passing over in 2 days.
yeah, and it's such a throwaway line, like oh yeah, we're gonna save the observatory, and every single time I wrote this up in my notes, I wanted to say save the clock tower instead, because it's such a throwaway line that it has no reference
definitely
to it,
missed it.
except for the ending.
I missed it.
You know, your normal skydiving charity event coordinated by a group of high schoolers.
Exactly.
There's a big...
Which I believe, didn't they say that they were the skydiving team, or did I miss
from
that?
that high school.
Wow,
From
What?
that high school.
There's
Like
a
they go to
high
practice and
competitive
do
skydiving.
rival- yeah. Also,
How do you
I like how
judge
that
that?
kid. I like how that kid Fred is then talking to his dad, who also did the skydiving thing for this charity event. It was like, "Yeah, you were embarrassing." I couldn't, like, it was tough, and I felt like I was hassling my parents when I asked them to like help out at the school bookstore or like the craft fair, much less asking them to skydive for a charity event for this school.
Did they get?
Yeah,
I didn't like Fred. There's a big scene later on that's when I knew I was an adult now, because as a child I completely didn't even realize it happened. But there's a scene later on where I'm like, fuck this kid.
To be continued. Did they get less money for charity by not hitting the bullseye? Like, did they lose money if they were off center?
I mean, they're high school kids. How much money can they possibly donate?
It's true.
Well,
I mean, then again, with the budget that's enough to organize a skydiving team, I'm sure they probably can afford a new observatory.
Well, that's my thought too. It's like, what's the risk benefit ratio of your life versus this observatory? Like, how critical is this observatory that it's worth dozens of people throwing themselves out of a plane?
Well, the Angel Grove Town Committee had a Deadpool going for, and that was actually how they were raising the money. They were expecting to bank all of this off Bulk and Skull.
Yeah.
I mean, they did miss the target by quite a bit.
It's true.
Bulk and Skull cost a lot of people a lot of money.
Bankrupted homes.
The Rangers do land, and then we cut back to the plane just to see Bulk and Skull still trying to hype themselves up. The pilot tells them, like, look, man, I'm out of fuel. You got to jump now. And they finally do it. And there's a lot of jump cuts just to quickly pass time. So once they finally jump out, that's when we get to see them being the Rangers being more of their extrovert selves and just like outdoorsy and very active. They went from skydiving and now they're immediately rollerblading all through the city.
Yeah. Which rollerblading is so 90s. That is so 90s.
There's
instant rollerblading montage.
Out here at Six Flags Magic Mountain, there's a roller coaster called X2. And while you're standing in line, there are these signs that are like, "Are you a type A?" And it's like shows a nerdy guy with like the broken glasses. And it's like, "Or a type X." And it's like people snowboarding and rollerblading. I'm like, these Power Rangers are type X, 100%. Extreme.
Also, I still love, like, I know it's cheesy, but I love how all of them are always color coordinated to their Ranger color.
Oh, I love that.
It just reminds me of like the Clark Kent thing. It's like, you're Superman? No way, you can't possibly be Superman. But you take away his glasses, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I get it now.
Well,
like
even that's a personality difference. These guys are the exact same in and out of costume, and they wear the same colors.
there's 5 of them and there's 5 Rangers. They all wear the same colors. No, that can't possibly be them.
And they just got into a Zord.
They all look the same, so
Never
I'm
in the
glad
same
there's
room,
colors differences.
Well, they didn't really touch upon or bring up I'm not going to say that word right. Anonymity.
Anonymity?
Anonymity.
Aluminium?
See anemone.
They don't really bring that up at all as a concern. So they just don't really seem to be fazed by anyone finding out who they really are.
Well, I hope not, considering they have a loud ass pager on their wrist that beeps out their theme song.
I hear that
which
song,
exactly
yeah.
is what happens right here.
I hear that song when those Zords come out. This can't be a coincidence.
Yeah, right.
Also, they park in the high school parking area with Zords.
Just thought they were rich kids.
Our Rangers cut through a construction site, but this is exactly where Bulk and Skull decide to land. I actually like this bit where the foreman comes over.
Hey! Uh-oh. You guys, what do you think you're doing?
They fucking parachuted down, dude. Like, did you not see that? And it's a fucking parachute. Like, it's not like they're gonna just hide it behind a fucking rock.
They came out of nowhere.
We just base jumped off the top of that building.
Yeah.
We're from the Angel Grove Building Inspector's office. Yeah! That building's supposed to be over there!
That was funny.
What the fuck?
What if that guy was like,
that
oh
was
shit,
funny.
and they start... We need 10 feet to the
Wrap
left.
it up.
Well, if some guy came at me and was like, what the hell are you doing here? I would say, I'm trying to raise money for the observatory, asshole. What are you doing?
They were probably building the observatory.
I have to say, they legit, I don't know where they shot that, but it did look like a pit in the middle of a city. I don't know if their backdrops were that good, but like, I don't know. It just seemed like they were legit inside of I don't know if it was maybe it was a quarry that they put.
What if that's where the observatory was? And they land
in the middle
and it's
of a
like,
city?
You didn't save it. Sorry, guys. You've been coming down from that plane for 48 days.
I briefly thought that maybe the lair, like Zordon's lair, was the observatory, and that was its front. Because I mean, where in Angel Grove is this? I thought
Layers
very
to
hard
this.
about this.
You should have wrote. You
But
should have
think
wrote
about
on this
it.
movie.
Well, thinking about it, and you see the layer. Is this supposed to be an Angel Grove? So in one section, you've got the area, where all the kids hang out and they're having their party later in the movie, and just completely normal town square area. And then all of a sudden there's this mountain somewhere like off in the distance that looks like an evil lair. So is that the observatory?
This bothered me quite a bit because it seems like hours goes by between a couple of scenes, and I just don't understand on how with their morphin technology they're able to teleport and stuff, but it's like I think they could have walked faster.
Yeah. Well, again, I had that exact same thought about one of the fight scenes we'll get to where they spend so much time morphing that the villains just peace out. They just walk away.
I didn't even think about that.
That was my first genuine laugh out loud moment in the movie.
Oh, where'd they go? Over there.
I cried laughing. It was just like
That
they were
didn't even
taking
cross
too
my
damn
mind.
long. They had places to go. They're very busy.
What the hell are they doing?
Ooze monsters.
The construction workers, there's that funny bit with Bulk and Skull, and then they unearth like the capsule that is holding the villain of the movie, and I was just like, are they just take it upon themselves to like excavate this? Like they're just like a construction crew. Like they shouldn't have called like the city like science center or like an archaeologist.
Yeah, it's paperwork.
Yeah. They're just like, we're
Back
opening
off,
this
man.
shit
I'm a
up.
construction worker.
Thought that was
my
funny.
thought too, I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but my first thought when I saw that was the Lady Gaga egg from the 2011 Grammys. Did you guys see that when she emerged from the egg that she was incubating in for 3 days?
It was probably an Ivan Ooze reference.
She's our age.
Yeah, it was a reference.
Yeah, she's our age, so it probably was That.
Yeah, I thought of that, and if that was a direct inspiration, that makes me love her even more.
Was that why she had that Ivan Ooze costume at the Grammys?
I thought it was just like a strange latex flesh-colored suit, and then she had a pointy. They looked like shoulder bones sticking out, and it was fake. And there's like the latex was stretched over it. It was very pointy and awkward, and but she made it work.
Now that you mention it, she definitely could have been a Power Rangers villain with several of her outfits.
100%.
Yeah, the construction workers decide to touch this thing and get shocked. So,
like full-on force lightning blasts the guy backward unprotected with any kind of gear. So kill count number 1.
Zero OSHA considerations here.
So this is the part that kind of like aggravates me a bit. So the second they open it, the Rangers get a call. It's like, hey, Rangers, come to the command center. They do. And then they show up. Alpha 5 is doing his whole like, the
thing. Best droid.
Yeah.
You know, alarms are going off and they're like, what's going on? And they're like, oh, they, that Ivan Ooze's prison has been opened and they must quickly reseal it before Ooze is released. And they do. But it seems like they left when it was still daylight and they don't get to the construction site until like way later.
Yeah, it's like if you maybe didn't call them, you would have been able to just, stop
couldn't they have
that
just said,
from progressing.
Hey, go, hey, Rangers, go to the construction site. Something bad is happening instead of come here first.
Yeah.
So I mean, we would have missed out on the amazing performance of Ivan Ooze, but still, it's just I don't get
roll credits.
Also, Zordon looks very different from what I remember him on the show, and I think they might have just changed it because they know if he's going to be out of the tube, they want him to not just be like a pale guy.
Yeah, I definitely prefer
I don't know if he looks much better.
Zordon. Yeah, well, I prefer Zordon detubed personally.
What, him in his like onesie?
Yeah, his glitter
he's
onesie,
swaddled.
his moo-moo.
He's forever swaddled.
In his crystal bed. It's very
Fortress of Solitude.
Superman. Yeah.
It's self-care. He had the clear quartz surrounded.
It's like a permanent spa.
Good energies.
Yeah, his chakras,
his crystals,
completely aligned.
I mean, despite the fact that he walks out looking like Grandpa from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I mean, that's really how he survived all these years. Was just good old astral energy.
Just sucking it from Rangers every generation.
Yep.
But I do like how he immediately sets a clear goal with background details for the Rangers on who this villain is, how he came to be, what we did to get here, and what they have to do next.
They wasted no time. It was almost like an episode of the show. It was like, we gotta get this moon. Come on, got 20 minutes. They waste no time.
I mean, they're teenagers. They need clear structure, a homework assignment, a due date, a sliding
They do
scale.
say he's like a father figure to them, so that's not far off there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's their Splinter.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, Kimberly really leans into that father figure thing to the
Is it
point where
because she
I
calls
was
Zordon
like,
Daddy?
it was
Jesus Christ.
Where's this going? No, I got daddy issues from her, and it was
like Demi Lovato. It's a bop.
Yeah, it is a bop. No, it was. I was just like, wow, why does Kimberly have to be the one that's, But I see she's like the heart of the team, right? She's the empath of the team. So that's
I feel
why
too.
she's so
It's more
heartbroken.
appropriate for her to feel that way instead of Aisha or the other two guys.
Because they're new.
Yeah.
Just for the fact that they're referred to as the other two guys.
I actually mind blanked for a second, but no, like they're brand new. So we've already watched the show religiously up to this point. We're super excited. I don't think much time has I don't even think the episode premiered yet for the switchover.
I do remember being surprised, like these new guys just showed up.
That might have been the season finale, because I think season 2 was when we got to see the new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I think during this, because of delays and things, it took so long to film the movie that they had started filming episodes for the next season while they were in downtime there. So at that point, they probably were filming with the new crew, but I don't think it might have aired the swap yet.
Oh wait, no. This happens after like they get the dragon as the red one, and then like the red Zord. I don't remember this one.
Oh, what, the ones that they get in this movie?
No, in the show. After the dinosaurs, before this set of Zords, there's like another one in between, right?
Oh,
But that's where the
idea.
transition happened. Yeah, I don't know either.
Tim, this
Because I stopped sometime after season 2.
Tim, this made me think of a narrator talking about the Rangers, like, meet the Power Rangers. The Blue Ranger, the White Ranger, the Pink
All
Ranger.
6 Rangers, the red, the blue,
And the rest.
rest of them. It's like Neon
Yeah,
Maniacs.
exactly. And the rest of the Rangers. That's
so
all.
before we get into the big intro for Ivan News, one thing I wanted to note was when they're in the lair, as I call it, Zordon refers to him as a morphological being, and I noticed that a lot of the words in this movie seemed excessive for no, they're just, let's just use big
These
words
words
to
are
sound
excessive.
smart. And I thought morphological can't be a real word, right? It is a real word.
No kidding.
Yeah, it makes no sense in the context in which it's used. However, it is a real word, and it's relating to the form or structure of things. So
everything?
So Ivan News is essentially everything and nothing.
Quickly,
There's your definition of morphological.
I would have loved if Zordon was like, oh, good, Tommy, Kimberly, and the rest of you are here.
hey, you remember me? I'm Billy.
Thanks, Zordon.
I'm Billy. I was here too. Whatever,
I
Billy.
mean, I do really like, between the intro when they're in the plane, and I do like Rocky and Adam and
they're
Aisha.
all fun, yeah.
Yeah, I do. I definitely like Aisha. I like the actress. I think did a very decent job for what it is. I thought she was fun to watch.
Yeah.
And Adam as well.
They all have personality in this that isn't just like, here your background dressing for us to just let Tommy do his thing.
Yeah.
It was just tough for like an adjustment period, because I mean, you had the original 5 for so long, and then 3, and especially Jason, the leader, being one of the ones to leave. Tommy was super popular, but Jason was too.
Yeah, he was.
Yep.
And it was just kind of like ripping a Band-Aid off. Like, shit, man. I really wish I was able to have the original like set in the movie, because I mean, like, they missed it by maybe like 4 or 5 months, I think. Because in that YouTube movie you mentioned, where it was just like a bunch of the interviews with the cast, and she got hired on to do the show to replace the original set, and then I think it really wasn't much more time after before, like, all right, and you're also getting a movie deal too. And she's like, what? This is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, man, like, those guys must be pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They definitely, that whole situation was pretty shady. But I guess to Tim's point earlier, this was Saban running the show, so
I don't blame them for leaving, though, especially as an adult, like, understanding what everything happened, and hearing about the filming schedule and just the physical demands, and I would have asked for a raise too.
At the time, they were getting paid, I think it was like $600 a week or something for the filming on the movie.
Holy
and
smokes.
they were getting, I think, $60,000 a year for the show.
Yikes.
And at the time, Power Rangers was like $1 billion
right,
industry.
that's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane.
So does
even
that
by
mean
like
that,
1995 standards, that's insanely low.
So does that mean that Amy Jo Johnson like accepted that shitty pay then?
Yes, which
Or
I know
was she
they came
paid
back
more?
later. I think they also got paid that because I know Amy Jo Johnson, I think, came back later and said she regrets not standing with the other 3 on pushing for unionization and better pay and conditions.
Yeah.
But I think at the time it was just like, hey, I don't want to rock the boat. I want this job.
Right, that was their breakout gig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tough business.
So the ooze is loose.
Did anybody else?
Who's the pig?
Mordant.
I couldn't remember his name.
Do they even say his name in the movie?
I didn't hear it.
I think so, but I just don't think it's clear. Or maybe
Yeah, they say it once.
I wasn't
think Zed
familiar
says it.
with that character, so I'm like, I mean, I know Goldar. I just don't know that character, and I just didn't really hear his name pronounced much.
Yeah.
The pig was just made for the movie, but I didn't like that as a kid.
Oh.
Just like what happened to, what was it, like Squat and Babu?
Yeah.
Were the other two villain comic reliefs. I wanted to see them in the show, but they just completely scratched it. And they're like, you know what, we're going to have this pig guy instead.
Which, watching this now, and with his lines and whatnot, he plays well off Ivan Ooze. They're like an old vaudeville couple.
They do.
So, Nicholas, the Ooze is loose, and he now visits Lord Zed's realm.
It's the opposite. So for now, Zed opens the egg. Ivan emerges, and he's just so thankful for being released. He asks Zed how he can be repaid. And of course, Zed just is one of those like Tom and Jerry kind of thing. He just wants Zordon eliminated and the Power Rangers. And I love Ivan's reaction, like he already knows.
Do you recall the name Zordon of Eltar?
Like, oh yeah, I've dealt with these guys before. And that was actually, I wanted to see that. I wanted to see more of like, that's what I appreciated of the modern Power Ranger release. We got to actually see Zordon like doing shit.
Yeah.
Instead of just like, it's the Ranger. Like, you know, I get it, but I would like to see the Master being the one doing all the stuff. Like, it'd be cool to see a prequel of the Turtles with Splinter being like the one having to do all the action scenes, and the Turtles are just still little kids.
Right.
Yeah.
So Zordon was the one that imprisoned him. And then at this point, I guess it's a trope where teenagers just always smell. Because it's like, wait.
They're so extreme.
What is that odious stench? Smells like teenagers.
It's the Axe body spray. And the Mountain Dew and Doritos. Do you guys remember in the, I would say, between 96 to 99, there was just a pure obsession with everything extreme. And like the X Games came out, and, you had new metal, which is still a personal favorite music genre of mine. And it's just, everything was like, you had to be extreme, living on the edge. So I think that
I think it started directly after this movie.
Yeah, I think you're
Ivan
right.
Ooze started new metal.
Also, Lord Zed is just Space Shredder.
He is awesome in this movie.
He looks really cool.
His outfit still looks legit.
Yeah.
I love it.
Did
Even though
anyone
Zed and
else-
Rita are such a toxic couple.
Did anyone else notice his cerebral cortex undulating?
Oh, really? Was it?
I couldn't help but notice.
It was intense. And I was like, wow, I don't think it did that in the show.
Yeah. It was a huge difference
That
compared
movie
to the
money.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
And
undulate everything.
Can I see the brain
Undulate.
move, please?
Yeah, and I wonder, how did they do that? But that also feeds into the whole idea that, going from a TV show budget to a movie budget is just so great when you're a fan. And I'm sure there's other examples you guys may have where you first saw something on TV or in a different format, and then to see it translated onto the big screen and have so much more money thrown at it. It's really nice.
I mean, I grew up watching the Marvel shows from the 70s and 80s when it was like Captain America in just like a cotton spandex costume and a plastic shield.
or like the Hulk
then-
with Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah. And then
Wasn't
like,
Hasselhoff Nick Fury?
yeah.
That's right.
And this is what happens when you throw a bunch of big movie dollars at it. You get Sam Jackson.
And now we have jump a couple years and Endgame and all these other properties. So
Yeah.
yeah, movie budgets.
They're the best.
They're the best.
Does anybody else feel like Ooze is kind of like Monster James Caan? Like he's like exaggerated. It's like a caricature of James Caan and turned into a monster. That's what I kind
He
of
has
feel
such
it looks
personality.
like.
Like he breaks out of there and then he immediately is just like macking on Rita.
Oh, I know. Rita's like, hey, he cute. I was like, get it, girl.
He totally carried the movie. I
For
wish
sure.
he was in it a lot more.
He like chewed through the scenes and was really good at it. He kept
And
it
Nick, I agree
entertaining.
with your point earlier about Zed. Like, I wanted to see more interaction between Zed, Rita, and Ooze. I think that the three of them,
Yeah,
it was just very
sidelined them
funny
too
seeing their
quick.
back and forth. Yeah. One quick note about Ooze. Who made it the rule in general that space villains need to look like purple grape bubble gum chewed up and spit out?
Is that common?
You've got it with, I can think of three right off the top of the bat. You've got Ivan Ooze, you've got Thanos, which I know his art is true to the comics, which predated all of this. But then also you have Apocalypse.
Oh, people were pissed about Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Yeah, he in the comics, he was kind of more badass, and he's like big and blue, and
He's more like
shades
a
of green.
Thanos kind of shape.
Yeah, closer to
Yeah.
like a Thanos like build and whatnot. And then in the '90s X-Men cartoon, he's like this hulking, imposing figure, and then
He's just Oscar.
they Ivan Ooze him in
He's just
Yeah.
what would otherwise be a perfect film.
Didn't they actually have to edit it afterward because he looked too much like Ivan Ooze? And they had to do some color grading and correction to make sure, like, all right, he's a little too purple. Let's kind of tone it back.
I mean, I wouldn't doubt it.
There were a lot of similarities, and I just thought, why does everyone have to be purple if you're bad and you're from space? And that almost makes me think Area 51 is real, and then whoever is writing these characters let it leak that, hey, aliens are in fact purple.
There's a
And wrinkly.
circle of people that know aliens are purple and leak.
They're trying to get that info out to us as subtly as possible.
I laughed.
Exactly.
I laughed at the scene when Zed and Rita, they release him. They're like, get the Power Rangers. And they're like, well, we'll leave you to it. See you later. They just leave.
Bye.
Like, don't even ask what he's going to do. They're just like, well, we'll be watching from the moon.
I mean, when you hire a guy, you don't stand there and watch the plumber plumb.
Although, again, later in the movie, you can see the micromanaging was real with Ivan Ooze and Mordant and Goldar.
Ivan Ooze is there for workflow optimization.
Lean Six Sigma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that he mocks the Rangers and then does his whole bit with impersonating a guard. I forgot about that until seeing it. I was like, oh shit, Ivan Ooze.
Do you happen to see a morphological being around here lately?
Yeah, that line.
Morphological being.
You know you're using that word incorrectly, right?
I kind of liked his actual. He's the only one that legitimately morphs through this whole movie, because he goes from like the shape shifting into Ivan Ooze. I thought it looked legit.
Yeah.
It was better than the later
agree.
effects for sure.
I could even forgive the purple blobs, like that CGI effect, and them appearing. It really, the CGI just really fails completely when it comes to the end fight.
Which certainly could just be like a budget and time limitation, because I know
For
this
sure.
thing probably went way over budget and went on forever.
Yeah.
Or they just
But then
didn't
at the same
give
time,
him
you
enough
always have to
time.
think Jurassic Park released before this and set the standard for.
Yeah, 92 they were making Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Then again, I mean, everything's not Spielberg backed and
Right. Industrial Light and Magic.
Yeah.
I really liked the yawn. I liked the yawn. Nobody's mentioned that. How like intense that yawn was.
Ivan's yawn?
Mm-hmm. When
can't
he
recall.
like first comes out of the egg, it's like he just releases this massive yawn. I said, I really love Dollar Store Thanos's massive yawn. I can relate. That was my note.
You know, you're right. That's basically how I wake up every morning, with the neck crunching and cracking.
And one more note too on when he's sniffing at the teenagers, which don't love what I just said. It made me think of Dean, one of your quotables from Lord of the Rings. I think it's the Uruk-hai when he goes.
Yeah.
What is it? What do you smell? Man flesh. They picked up our trail.
They picked up our trail. Yeah. I could see the similarities there. He just like lingered on I smell teenagers. You're right. It was probably Axe body spray and like Mountain Dew and angst. That's what he smelled.
And just layers of sweat, seeing as they've come from the skydiving thing, then they did rollerblading, then they got called to come to this thing.
The gallons of dry shampoo that they went through to maintain.
Wearing only denim and khaki outfits.
Sweaters.
Yeah.
The least breathable. I did notice that all of the guys were wearing cut-off sleeve shirts. Like,
also, I'm amazed that all of their outfits stayed so white through all of this.
They're all wearing cutoff shirts except Aisha. She's wearing a hoodie.
That's right.
From Nike.
Yeah,
I
did say
clothes to be cut.
I did think that Tommy throughout this whole opening fight was a tie dad. Because he was wearing all white. Yeah. He was wearing all white. I don't think I saw a single speck. And if anything, props to the wardrobe department, because there was not a single mark on that outfit the entire time.
They're fighting in a construction site.
Yeah.
So
and
this
then
is
a jungle.
This is our first fight that we get to see in the whole movie. And they're definitely getting dirty. Like, they're getting their butts kicked.
Right. Against ooze monsters. That, like, what is that ooze? That's going to be very difficult to take out with, like, a cleaner, right? That stain's not going anywhere.
Probably club soda.
Some vinegar.
Ladies and gentlemen, the ooze is back.
Yeah.
Tie that. Ivan's kids, as he calls them, or wait,
His
did he call them that?
oozelings?
Like, I don't know. I wrote that.
Oozemen.
They're actually terrifying.
I called them oozlings too.
Oozlings. They're actually terrifying when they first like come out of the ground and like there's close-ups. I was like, this is like scary.
Man,
Yeah.
I miss the putties.
They've got like those like the predator dreadlocks going on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Something about their faces
I
just
so.
seemed kind of like unsettling.
They look like purple versions of the Wishmaster from Wishmaster.
Yeah, I could see that.
I thought Predator mixed with Old Greg.
Old Greg for sure. Did you ever drink Bailey's from her shoe? Yeah.
And then in this, so I know
The
we haven't
Spidey's
really talked
fantastic.
about it, but they start, so this is this initial fight with the Oozemen and the Rangers. One of the scenes that I remembered from being a kid watching it was the kick the can sequence with the Black Ranger with Adam. And I don't know why that stuck with me, but I just remember thinking that was really cool when I was a kid. So seeing that again, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. Like that was really neat. Like that footwork he did. And
Each Ranger is a master at puns and wordplay. They have a quip. Every single punch they have, they've got a quip for the opponent.
Ever play kick the can?
Kiss the makeup!
Let me get the door. Use, you lose.
Take that,
I like how-
raisin head. Sorry.
I like how Ooze, before he leaves, is like, welcome to my nightmare, and then leaves, and then Tommy
have that note
is like,
too.
welcome to my nightmare too.
He's like, welcome to my nightmare.
Yeah, it's like, we haven't established that any of those guys can speak or understand you, and nobody else was around. Was that just for him? Yeah. Also, I would have loved it when he does the flip back, and he's like, quick, spread out, that you just see all the other Rangers run out of the construction site and leave him. No, not that far.
No.
Bring
Spread
it
back
in. Bring it in.
So the song that kicks in here. What?
Are You Ready by Devo?
Welcome to my nightmare.
Action boy now.
Action boy now? Action girl now?
Yeah, that's Devo.
They only need it for like the first.
Wait,
10
is that
seconds
like
of
a
the
song not made for this movie?
No.
That's a real
Devo
song.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
This soundtrack keeps giving.
This song I was like, what is this song?
Action boy now, action girl.
Oh no, the one that gets stuck in my head we'll get to later twice.
Oh, the
yes.
That's a great song. That was
Oh,
from
that's my
Daria.
That's
I
my
know we're getting
summertime
ahead.
bop.
Yeah.
Was it really?
Yeah. Trouble by Shampoo was from Daria. That's where I first heard it.
No shit.
Daria
Yeah.
had an amazing soundtrack that got lost because they lost the rights to it when they ended up releasing it on DVD. That's a shame.
Did
So
anybody
anyway,
else
bringing it back.
Did anybody else laugh at Kimberly like is doing handsprings and like Billy like follows her like doing handsprings like right behind you. They're just like handspringing across the screen.
I was like, why can't they just walk?
Also, why did they wait this long to morph?
Yeah, my next note is morphin' time finally.
Like, I'm wondering if it's some sort of fee-based thing for morphing.
Maybe it's like a mana or like a power, spell kind of thing, so you have to charge.
It's on a cooldown.
You have to you have to fight and build up your meter before you can morph,
Yeah.
It is fun seeing them outside of the suits doing all this for a change, because I feel like because they're using the
Right.
footage from the other show, we never really get to see them doing this.
I bet
That's
they
true.
never got to do it, and they probably were enjoying that part.
So I mean, that was probably cool. I mean, other than the fact that they had to do most of their own stunts, so they probably were
There's no budget for
poorly
stuntmen.
paid, hurt, injured, tired.
I could
But I
not.
had a blast.
I could not focus if they had missed any steps in their choreography, their fight choreography. I would not have been able to notice over the fact that some of the punches they landed and the kicks they landed created a farting noise.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah. If you watch it back during the fight scene, instead of a typical, punch landing sound,
Fish
that
on
you get-
concrete.
Is that what it is?
I don't know. That's what I do if I was a
Cool.
Foley artist. Fish on concrete.
Wet newspaper on concrete.
Yeah, there you go.
It's farting, and I specifically I found it with when Billy kicks an ooze sling, as well as Kimberly attacking when I think she punches it or something, and there's just fart noises, and I lost it. It was fantastic.
I didn't notice it until one of the later fights that like every single kick and punch that they were doing when they got to like the jungle had all sort of like Batman sound effects.
The swipes.
It's like gongs and bells and the swipes.
Oh yeah,
once they
there's-
transform,
Right.
which it's cool when they finally morph during the construction scene and we get like the theme song playing and all of that. And
So good.
It's great. And then I immediately remembered as they're talking, they're very animated because we can't see their face, so they're acting with their hands. And they had the whoosh every time they move their hands to talk. I had a pair of gloves like that, the Power Ranger gloves as a kid, and it had the thumb that when you squeeze it, it makes it. And I would just, the entire time I was at my grandparents watching this, just doing the
What?
I
need
want
to have
those.
that.
I want those now. I want them today.
time to work on some spreadsheets.
I didn't get to have those. That's I'm so jealous.
I either didn't realize or remember that Tommy was. Is this true in the show? He's the white tiger,
Yes.
but there's a saber-toothed tiger.
Oh, they changed it for this. I was actually pissed because this was supposed to be like the hype moment, like, oh my god, they're finally morphing. They fucking changed the order.
Oh shit!
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's supposed to be. I wrote it down.
Was Tommy last? Because Red was always last.
So in this order, it's pterodactyl, triceratops, tyrannosaurus with the Jurassic Park Rex roar in the background.
Oh really?
Mastodon, saber-toothed tiger, white tiger. But in the show, I don't remember what the show one was, but it was not white tiger. They changed it for the movie.
He was. Oh, I have their ninjetti swords, but I don't know.
Don't say that name.
What a downgrade for them to go from I was the Green Ranger with the Green Dragon Zord.
Yeah.
To then have Tiger.
I just thought
they had to retire it. It was too fucking cool.
True.
They had to retire it because
Too
if
cool.
they kept it up that whole time, it's just they fucking peaked at the 6 episodes in.
Yeah.
True. Also,
So-
it was like it could hold its own. So why does he need to combine with the other ones if he can just do his own thing?
The coolest fucking outfit. You have the golden crest. He got the dragon dagger, and then the badass Godzilla mech that comes out of the water and shit. Fucking amazing every time. It's like, oh, I'm losing my powers. I can't use this anymore. No fucking shit, man. If you lead with that every time, you don't need the other 6 guys because this guy is the equivalent of all of these.
Otherwise, it's Saban's Tommy and friends.
Yeah, well, it's kind of what it became.
Which is actually what Zordon calls them when they arrive at the headquarters.
Tommy and other people.
The rest of them.
But yeah, I just thought that if it was saber-toothed tiger, why do you have another tiger? There's lots of other animals to go with. But
I think the better question is, how long did they take to morph that between the morphing montage, them doing all those flips, and then that big pan out to just be like, oh, and all the villains left.
They just left. Yeah. That
they
was
had killed
fantastic.
10 or 12 people during the morph.
That'd be great if the city was burning in the background. They're like, oh shit, we should have done this faster.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's actually a robot chicken skit.
You
Might
have
be.
17 missed calls from Zordon.
Rangers.
It's just Alpha going, yeah.
Yeah, that really made me laugh. And then they have to go find the Oozman who separated. And this is where we do get a little bit of a sneak preview of some of the other tech that they have, right?
I wish they did this.
That was random.
Yeah, they were
What
power
the-
beam, which was literally just a headlamp.
Yeah.
With the
I
power.
liked Rocky's visor thing. It looked like something out of Battlestar
Never saw it
Galactica.
until now.
Be funny.
It was weird. I think there was one other one, but they cut it out. I'd have to find some of the stills from it. But I thought the little extra stuff in the helmets was actually pretty cool.
It makes
Yeah,
sense.
and then
I was
I know
expecting a
later
product
on-
endorsement Power On by GE.
Well, plus,
it's on their helmet.
It's kind of cool that they did it because I think it then gives all of them something that, hey, you can do this, you can do that. It's not just all of us doing the same exact thing in our suits. So
Yeah.
it gives them all a little bit of something special
I'm
that
not
they can
opposed
do.
to that.
Or two
Some
of them at least.
character. Yeah. Well, I will note that Billy had it looked like a beeper that was also a zip line. So it literally looks like a pager. It had it had a bunch of lights and a little screen, and then he points it at a balcony and he's able to shoot it out and then use it as a zip line.
It's kind of cool.
So that was his little thing. And then I know Tommy had his, is it different? It's not the dragon sword, but he still has that giant sword. I don't know if it has a name.
Yeah, like the tiger sword or something.
Saba. Yeah, no, Saba. That's from the show.
So my favorite thing about that was when he throws it to chop off the large construction accoutrement onto the Oozman, and he throws the sword, and you think the sword's going to cut the wire, but the sword stops. The sword stops in midair and shoots a laser beam to cut.
Unexpected laser.
Yeah, really subverted my expectations.
Well, and then I like how it drops and you hear the oozlings do. So now that we know that they can speak, that means they at least would have understood his welcome to my nightmare. They just didn't want to recognize it. Don't give him the satisfaction.
What is he talking about?
But
Yeah.
did you see when Tommy performs Liu Kang's bicycle kick on that one oozling when he jumps off
Oh, he
the
defies
top
the
thing?
laws of
Yeah.
physics.
And he does the dragon kick all the way across and then goes into a bicycle kick.
Well, he jumps forward and then gravity pulls him down. So once he reaches the ground, he moves forward again, parallel with the ground. Oh, never mind. Just move on.
They did cut halfway through the fight back to the headquarters.
Right. Yeah. When you see him start smashing the shit out of it.
I gotta say, Ivan, I would sit down and have a beer with Ivan Ooze.
He's got so much personality.
That Brady Bunch joke
plus I like
great.
how he talks with Zordon, and then he pulls out the flute, and he's like, "Time to pay the piper," and then
jazz flute,
and then plays, and then starts blowing stuff up. And I have to think that's not any part of his powers, which means he's carrying that flute just as a prop for this gag. And I appreciate the dedication.
You never see it again.
Yeah, it's like, nope, I just did it just for that that one joke.
I say this whenever I start smashing things.
Another thing he does that I enjoy, it kind of inadvertently stifles a trope that we see with a lot of villains, is I notice that a lot of villains will ask hypothetical questions to the hero. And you think that he's going to do that with Zordon when he says,
You locked me into your stuffy little hyperlock chamber and tossed me away in the depths like yesterday's trash. You any idea what it's like to be locked up in a rotten egg for 6,000 years?
And he actually answers his own hypothetical question with,
Boring.
I mean, that's just teeing himself up. That's classic Ivan.
His Brady Bunch line here is good about missing the Spanish Inquisition, missing the plague, and the Brady Bunch reunion.
That was ad-libbed.
Oh yeah, really? It was good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, was that topical? Because did the reunion happen in the 90s?
You're probably right. Like there was probably a topical thing there.
If anything, it might not have been the show, but it might have been brought back into pop culture because the movie came out.
Yeah.
Right. I imagine there's like a Adam McKay, Will Ferrell reel of just different lines he throws in there, like different events that he missed. I want to see the outtakes there.
I missed the 93 Bulls championship.
I missed the Dream Team.
I like how so destroying all of this, in hindsight, now it makes sense why back at the construction site after they finish their fight, all of them then lose their morphing powers and transform back. And originally I was like, did Zordon forget like his morphing payments? What's going on with this? And now it's because everything's destroyed and the power comes from there.
So this killed me because it already took them like 4 hours to go from the park to the command center with the teleporting. So now they had to walk back to the command center. So this must have taken another like 10 hours for them to walk from the center of Angel Grove to wherever the command center is in the middle of the desert.
Where did their rollerblades go?
That's a great point.
Quick! Everyone back to their houses to get their rollerblades and then meet back up here.
You know, in the show, Billy made a car that was just like a Volkswagen Bug that was able to fly.
I was going to say, do any of them have their driver's license at this point? Because I feel like, first of all, Tommy looks like he's 24. But I'm just curious.
They do drive mechs, but I don't know.
Do they have a license to operate a standard passenger vehicle?
C-class fishing license.
Vehicle.
Yeah.
I
can see their frustration with that, Nick, for sure.
I like how Alpha comes out here, and they're like, "Oh, Alpha survived," and he's explaining what happened. And after the first introduction of Ooze, I really wanted him to just be like, "Surprise!" and then transform, and it's Ooze again. And you're like, "Oh, damn it!
What's with you, man? You keep falling."
So here's where we get a bunch of just raw exposition. And this sets up the Rangers for the whole rest of the movie, that there's some ancient power that's even greater than what they had currently on some random forest moon of Phaedos on the other side of the universe.
That it took them 7 hours to get to the construction site before, but he can send them to that planet right now.
Also,
he milks whatever power they have left just to be able to send them there. And it's actually, I'm watching the clip now, and just as he teleports them, all the lights go out. So I'm like, he actually did milk all the power out of it.
Did Billy say he lives in a time warp?
Yes. I think he did. Zordon.
What the hell does that mean?
It's like a time.
You can't survive outside his time warp. I'm like, what is that?
Is it like a
He
Dr.
ages.
Manhattan thing where he's like living in the past, present, and future at the same time?
He knows how it's going to play out.
It reminded me a lot of, and I know this came out after Power Rangers did, but Batman and Robin. What's his name?
Frieza's suit.
Yeah, Frieza's wife is like floating in that chamber. I think he keeps his wife in this very similar cylindrical chamber.
Well, I think
She lived in a time warp.
it's a little bit later on, but Dulcea even mentions like if she's, I guess, of the same as Zordon, but if she were to leave her realm, she'll instantly age. And I think Zordon's thing was to keep him in that stasis so he doesn't age from being outside.
Right.
Yeah, because they're all colleagues,
Yeah.
all Ranger buddies.
Yeah, she's
And
like,
it's probably a case of, because he's already so old, seeing as he looks old already in stasis, that he will be super old outside.
I know Dulcea really chose to go into stasis at the right age.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, she's like, look like a ball sack or like have this like rockin' bod for all of eternity, but have to live in this little temple.
Swimsuit model. Let's do it.
His choice of clothing really doesn't help the ball sack thing.
No, it does not. It does
Seems he's
not.
wearing like a childhood rug with arms cut out. I like how 10 minutes into this movie and Ooze is done with Rita. He was like flirting with her the first time, then he comes back in and it's just like, no.
Hi, honey. I'm home.
You egg-sucking purple pinhead! The Rangers are going after the great power! I thought you said this guy was the master of disaster. He's nothing but a slime-infested jelly donut!
Finally, someone shut her up.
Wow!
Your feebleness is staggering.
I can see where this is going to end up.
I appreciate the voice actress came back for the movie too.
Yes, I agree.
Same thing with Goldar and Zed.
Oh, I didn't realize that Rita
I don't
was
know.
the same.
Yeah, I don't know if Zordon is the same voice. He sounds similar.
It's not. It's definitely not the same dude.
Yeah.
But Goldar, yeah, that's exact. Yeah, he's and Zed are both how I remember them. I didn't realize Rita was the same.
Yep. I mean, obviously the actress that's playing
Right.
Rita is not, but
Right. Interesting.
I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah.
After destroying the command center, Ivan Ooze goes up to revisit with Zed to tell him the news, like, hey, I won. And even though he got rid of the Zordon in the command center, the Power Rangers are still a threat. And let's see.
They can see them in their little rainbow bright capsule flying to Phaedos.
Yeah, so they know they're going after the ancient power, which I just still think red herring, but whatever. So they're concerned about them actually getting it. So at this point, Ivan is just, you know what? He actually usurps Zed. And I think that's just hilarious on how he's so easily overtaken that he's just thrown into a snow globe. Like, that is the most insulting thing you can do to an evil warlord. That, like, I'm just going to put you in a snow globe, and then I'm going to shake it up. And then just have you watch as I just sit in your chair and enact my own evil plan.
I mean, it oozes style.
And he's stuck with Rita, no less. I mean, Rita also went full steam from like having the hots for Ivan to being bye boy. Like, I'm over you. And then he traps her.
I feel like it might sour the relationship when you get snow globed.
Is that a euphemism?
It might be on like Urban Dictionary. I don't know.
Don't look at it. Or add
Some
an
things are
write an entry and let us know what it is, and we'll look it up.
It'd be like a Quiplash or whatever the game was.
Yes.
So he spits out more ooze and forms his little bird boys.
Now, my Tengu warriors, you will fly to Phaedos. You will find the Power Rangers, and you will tear them apart.
I got some like flying monkey vibes from that.
I have that exact note.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't make like a joke about it. That seems very Ivan.
Well, he did miss.
I'll get you my
like, all of
yeah.
that.
You should say I'll get you my pretties. Yeah, that would have been good. I thought they were going to do a synchronized dance when they came.
I thought that too.
They looked like they were preparing to like do a dance when they like started lining up.
But you guys skipped
The
over my
Warriors.
absolute least favorite part of the movie,
Oh.
which
The snot.
the snot, the hawking of the
yeah.
loogie. So I have a like physical reaction of it's like nails on a chalkboard for me. So that
Like
was
nails on a
probably-
chalkboard.
it was horrible. So I called them booger birds. But yeah, what was their official name?
Tengu.
Tengu.
Wagyu beef.
Wagyu Warriors. Very expensive, very delicious meat.
Grass-fed, free range. Farm to table.
Speaking of them like being flying monkeys, like I think a good portion of this budget went to like the high flying wire team. Like those people had their work cut out for them.
Yeah.
Flying those
Wasn't
actors
there,
in
like,
harnesses
behind the
around
scenes, Wasn't there behind the scenes stuff that they really were pushing to have the Tengu Warriors like a thing? And didn't they like make a second appearance in the show or something like that?
I know that back to my action figure collecting, that they just released or announced or something like the Tengu Warriors in their main collection. So they must have come back in full force at some point, because they don't have Ivan Ooze in the collection, but they do have the Tengu Warriors. Yeah, I don't know if there's plans for him or not.
I had Ivan Ooze action figure as a kid. He was a 12-inch figure, and he was just like an entire thing of plastic. He had no legs, and he was just...
Was he hollow?
Completely hollow.
Yeah. Interesting. He could have been a piggy bank.
Gooper.
He could have. Yes, that is the exact kind of like setup that he was, and I'm just surprised that he didn't get any kind of real action figure, and if he did, I never saw it. But I remember like when the toys came out for this, they put him in like a metallic style plastic just to kind of differentiate them from their normal toys.
I mean, and this is also important to note too, because Power Rangers essentially was one of those franchises solely created to generate toys.
Yep.
And there were a lot of iconic toys that I think came out of this. I know I had a Morpher. I had the 12-inch figure of the Pink Ranger. We sent you that photo of me with my iconic 90s bow hat and my Pink Ranger plushie. I had all the toys. There were some great ones. You could get the weapons.
I like the weapons.
Yep.
Yeah, the coins for the Zords.
The Morpher.
The Morpher, yeah.
I liked the Zeo toys that had the crystals, and then you can put the crystals in the weapons or put the crystals that load into this gun thing, and then it changes the noise.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's high tech. Yeah,
I've been wanting to get the re-release toys.
Yeah, the fandom for Rangers is still very much alive and going in the collector community.
The new Dragon Dagger that they re-released is... It's always whenever you revisit something as a child, and it's like, wow, what I pictured in my head is not what the reality of it is. This is that opportunity where, like, the Dragon Dagger that they remade is how I imagined how it should have been as a kid. Because when you compare the two together, you can clearly tell, like, the one from the 90s was a child's toy, and then this one is, like, the one for adults, the collector.
Yes.
I want to get that.
Yeah. No, I was really happy that, revisiting this. And also since Dean has become more involved in the figure trading.
The doll community.
The doll community. That makes it sound weird, like those real dolls.
American Girl.
No. That's not what a real doll is.
Oh,
but
real
don't look
doll.
it up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Don't look that up.
I don't have enough money for those.
Incognito mode if you do.
I don't have enough money for that.
Anyway,
what?
On.
I always wondered, where do you put that? And it's real awkward too. Like,
when
what
a
do you do, put it in
man
your
loves
closet?
a woman.
Yeah, right. You put it in your closet and then imagine having somebody come over.
It's even more fucking awkward. Like, why do you have a body in your closet? Wait, it's not a body. It's
it's one of
if
those.
you have a real doll, no offense, but I imagine people probably aren't coming over if you've got a real doll.
Oh, there's a low-hanging fruit joke I'm not going to say with that one.
You
just
put
say
it
it's
in the
your
living
CPR.
room and just own it.
Yeah.
I think so. Like you just have to pull out display it, hide it.
Totally naked, totally not clothed.
Try to play it off like you ironically own a real doll. Like, oh, I'm doing it because it's funny.
Like, oh, I'm a cosplayer. I'm just, it's modeling my outfit. Just put it in like stormtrooper armor.
You could build like a pedestal, like an art display, and like put it there and be like, yeah, it's an art piece,
Well, you're welcome, all real doll owners. We just made this less weird for you for whenever you do have friends over.
How do we get into real dolls? Oh, toys. Okay.
Tommy and Kimberly on the planet of Phaedos have a very touching moment that's interrupted by the bird boys.
Yes. I mean, total buzzkill. Absolutely no kiss between the two of them. Very upsetting.
The ending, I swear, I actually thought they were going to do it. I've seen this movie 100 times.
Yeah.
But rewatching it now, like, the look that Kimberly gives, I swear to God, if the camera like stuck on them for just a little longer, they would have kissed.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely give off mom and dad vibes among the group of Rangers, right? Like they're the mom and dad.
I thought Zordon was the dad.
Yeah, but I
or
just
is he
like
just the daddy?
He's
Thank you, Daddy.
Zaddy.
Zaddy.
Zordon has Zaddy vibes. Give us a new Power Rangers that has Jeff Goldblum as Zordon.
Does Zordon have
Rangers,
BDE? Discuss. So yeah, Kimberly and Tommy, they were the it couple. So it is a little frustrating that we didn't get any sort of payoff other than just them looking longingly at each other.
Do they ever?
I don't know.
Share a look.
They do,
yeah.
And the two of them have a cameo at the end of the remake from, what was that, 2017?
I think so.
And they have a cameo in the end. And at the very least, like, I wish they were just making out with them. Let's get that closure that we all need, okay?
Or they walk away and then you see they're both wearing wedding rings and you're like, oh.
And they have like a baby. Yeah. No, they don't do that. They're just
There's
holding
a real
up their
doll
cell
in the
phones.
backseat.
Of Zordon.
in his onesie. Oh,
I like how during this bird fight, Billy stops to talk to Adam and he's like,
You know the funny thing about Morphin? What's that? You don't appreciate it because you can't do it anymore.
and all of a sudden he just gets tackled.
Yeah.
And it happened like they didn't set it up like it was going to be a joke. It just happens like comes in from out of the frame and hits him.
Yeah.
But it was actually genuinely funny.
Yeah, it was good.
So they actually get their asses kicked in this fight.
Yeah. They have to get saved.
I never understood though, between all the fights they've ever had, like whenever they're fighting like the big bad monster of the week, like I get that, but when it comes to all like the literal trash mobs, just like this is just the stuff that you fight before the big fight, what makes these guys harder to kill than like the putties? Do they just hit harder? Do they have more stamina that if I punch him he doesn't go down? Because it seemed like they were doing pretty good until like one of them just decided to pick up Kimberly and awkwardly carry her through
the first damsel in distress.
Hang on, Kimberly!
The true damsel in distress moment.
Also, Ooze has them on performance-enhancing drugs, so they are...
You mean wires?
Jacked to the teeth, yes. Performance-enhancing wires.
Did we skip over the part where they're fighting the skeleton?
No, that's
no,
after.
we did not. But we did skip over because there's a lot of back and forth in this movie, cutting between where the Rangers are and then what Ooze is doing, and so
the pacing's tough because like we're only with Ivan for like maybe 30 seconds, but it's like heavy exposition, and then we go over to the Rangers just to do like 5 minutes of fight and then back and forth, but we can't skip it
because
I like to do headers for the starts of scenes in my notes, and then it gets to one point that it's like towards the end when it's the construction site, and then it's like back to here, back to this, back to here, back to this, and each one is like one note.
It's like a bullet point
deciphering that.
Sorry, I thought we were talking about the Tengu fight, which happens after the later, so I was just confused.
So no, we were, but during the Tengu fight, it does cut over to Ivan again, and this is where he kind of explains his and he explains his master plan to manufacture GAC essentially, which was very hot in the 90s. And he targets specifically parents of Angel Grove to be his zombies that will help manufacture the ooze. So if you needed another reason to be child-free as an adult, here you go. Because he was like, I'm just going to take the parents and make them work for me and then kill themselves after. So I thought that was an interesting plot.
Which was actually Saban's plan all along of having us watch the show, buy the merchandise.
And then cause the parents to become in a trance from the GAC.
Yeah. Sorry to digress. I realized what I was confused about. They get to that place and they walk through like the graveyard of skeletons.
Oh, there was that one big skeleton that had like the
it reminded me of
the
goat from reminded me of the goat from Muppet Treasure Island. I don't know why.
I just laughed because of the line, like somebody's like, what is it? And like Billy's like, I think the question is, what was it? I'm like, yeah, that's the same question essentially, right? Like, yeah, we know. I don't know.
Also, then does that imply that once you die, you cease to be whatever it was you were?
Right. I know it's a skeleton now. I think he's like, don't be pedantic, Billy. I know what we were. You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Yeah, no, it's a good healthy dose of existentialism
that's
in
why
my
I was
Power
like,
Rangers film.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just confused. I was like, I know we missed that line, but I forgot they do the fighting later.
Also interesting how the skeleton turned into a skeleton, but the leather brace that it was wearing is still good and intact. By leather.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There's a subreddit. I think it's called Buy It for Life. That would qualify for that subreddit. So Kimberly is getting swooped up by the Tengu warrior, and I'm thinking, oh God, we've got this fantastic damsel in distress situation. Come on, Kimberly, like kick some ass. But instead, we get all of a sudden there's just a complete takedown, and the Tengu get their asses kicked, and this is when we meet Dulcia.
I am Dulcia, Master Warrior of the planet Phaedos.
Who looks straight off the set of Xena Warrior Princess.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, yes. Amazon. Not
Xenon Girl of the 21st Century.
I was like, her costume felt a little out of place for the rating and the audience for this movie.
Which, seriously, guys, armor. She's supposed to be...
She's the most heavily armored person in that whole movie, according to RPG standards.
Or actually in that party right now, seeing as she's wearing leather and the rest of them are just in denim.
Oh, no. No, she's fully, like, epiced out. Her armor's green, but I could see the purple from here, man. Like,
it's like, what's her XP? Epics. Like, I don't understand.
Max level. The staff is easily legendary because it's like right click to turn into two spinning tonfa whistle things. That 90s toy that you spin it and it just makes that loud ass noise.
Yeah.
It's the kind of armor like all bludgeoning and projectile attacks are drawn to the chest, just right to the chest, where the armor is strongest.
Yeah. And obviously, anatomy would tell you that women's boobs are bulletproof. So,
you heard it here first, folks.
Machine gun jugglies.
That's true. I've never seen any movie where a woman gets shot in the chest and it's specifically there.
Exactly.
It's always the shoulder or the leg. The stomach. Yeah. The stomach's a popular
the
one.
Face.
It has to technically provide some slowdown resistance for the bullet. Like there's more to go through.
You'd be surprised, but I don't think it does.
Maybe it just doesn't mean as much as I think it does.
Did they do like a Mythbusters After Dark episode or something? So this is the beginning of the whiplash we get from going from Ooze's headquarters back to here for this fight and then back to the carnival that oozes in his carnival barker costume doing his rhymes for the kids.
Guys and girls, girls and guys, gather round and feast your eyes. I promise you all, you just can't lose when you've got your own supply of Ivan's ooze.
What are we supposed to do with it?
Show it to your parents. Show it to your friends. When you've got your ooze, the fun never ends.
Yeah, my scene.
Which I like how he's shilling ooze, and the kids are not into it until he's like, it's free. And they're like, oh, well, if that's the case, yeah, I'll take it home.
Yeah, my note after
This is probably the most unrealistic thing in the whole movie, though, because at that time, Gak was the fucking rage.
It was. It really was.
So for all of these kids to be like, I don't want it, like, get out.
Maybe they were just doing it as like a hard sell. Or they're like, okay, just, we don't really want it. Play hard to get. Give it us for free.
Well, that's the thing these kids need to learn is that when you get something for free, you're the product. I think I just quoted Zuckerberg. I'm so sorry. I'll leave. But I think that's a famous quote is if you're paying for something, you're buying the product. If you're not paying for something, you are the product. So, and that's exactly.
Or in this case, their parents were.
Exactly. The free labor.
Yes. Speaking of the whiplash.
Oh, go ahead.
What do you do? What?
Oh, I was just going to say, I got some Sorcerer Mickey vibes from the getup that Ivan Ooze was wearing.
I got, absolutely. Grape cotton candy vibes.
Grape, the Fruit of the Looms mascot, kind of. Yeah.
California raisins.
Go-Gurt.
Yeah, so our boy Fred's in the crowd there.
Fred?
Yes. Fred Kelman.
Kid. Yeah, Fred is the one who was balking his father earlier for being like, yeah, you skydived,
you're on that part.
But
yeah,
you were embarrassing.
So Fred is definitely the demographic for this movie, and I think he's placed there so that the kids... In. Yeah, exactly.
He was a fan. He actually won a contest. That's just...
Yeah.
And
he's the Cole Young of the... is that too new a reference?
I understood it, though.
He's the Jubilee of our Mortal Kombat's universe here.
Are you talking about... So are we on the Ivan scene where he's like the snake oil salesman? But he's like a Dr. Seuss character?
Yeah.
He's got sick rhymes, bro.
Fred definitely reminded me of like my brother in the 90s, kind of like the way he's dressed and just that overall...
into extreme sports.
Yeah. Doritos, Mountain Dew.
The big two.
Oh, no, it's the big three. You're missing Taco Bell. That was the other. Yeah, so he's there and he just dives right in. He gets himself some free gack and pieces out.
Ivan Ooze.
And then they whip us way back to Phaedos again.
Yep, it's fast.
We do this a lot pretty much through the whole rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Every single note at this point is like every scene is 1 bullet to 2 bullets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like we jump back to Phaedos just in time for them to find the new training ground from the Mortal Kombat movie.
That's what it looked like.
It definitely looks like a Mortal Kombat video game location, like fight location,
yeah.
I think.
I thought it was Weathertop from Lord of the Rings. In my notes, I refer to it as Weathertop.
It's a fun word association.
Is that where the spider is?
No, that was where the ring wraiths showed up.
Where Frodo gets stabbed.
Frodo.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because this is when they first learn about the ninjetti. Which,
Mom
growing
spaghetti.
up Italian, in my head, I look at ninjetti and I just think ninjet.
Ninjetti.
We don't do the eye. We just chop it all off.
Ninjetti.
Go there, become the ninjet.
I was thinking I thought you were going with like Italian ninjas.
Spaghetti.
She doesn't say ninjetti yet though. Like we go.
I thought she did. I have ninjetti written down.
No,
the sacred animals of the ninjetti. That's what she says.
That's not yet. Well, the scene before that, this is the rubber banding back and forth part. What's his name? Jeff? Is Jeff the kid? Wait, who's the kid's name?
Fred Kelman.
Fred's dad finds the goop, sniffs it, sticks his entire hand in, doesn't know what it is. He just spoons like a jar of peanut butter that you just want to eat right away.
Who
Like
does
he's like
that to peanut butter? Wait, who
What?
eats peanut butter like that?
Well, he opened the jar and he just takes this massive whiff and he gags from it. And what's his first instinct? Man, it smells like shit. Let me just stick my whole hand in there.
He just sticks his hand in it.
It would have only been better if he did that and then just started shoveling handfuls in. It would have been like, you ever see The Stuff from the 80s?
No.
With the ice cream that eats you.
Oh my God.
No way.
Look out,
Never.
kids.
That should be Drumstick's slogan right now.
I did like the there was really good continuity with Fred's dad when he shoves his hand into the jar. And,
I noticed that too.
Yeah, and he has like the goo is the ooze rather is coming off of his hand, and when he walks outside to join the other zombified parents, the ooze is still coming off of his hand. So it really kind of
very good.
Paints
I was looking
the picture.
for ooze on the other parents too.
I
and
was
he's the only
too.
one that had it.
Yeah. That was a miss.
He walks out and joins like the zombie horde, like that's just walking by the house.
Yeah.
Of other parents. So the ooze mind controls the parents. That's what they've established.
Yeah. And then eventually, I think there's maybe 3 or 4 scenes that are 2 seconds long between now and then when we go back to Fred realizing his dad's not there. So let's just establish that now.
This is the scene where I decided, fuck this kid. You know you're an adult when it irks the hell out of you when the kid comes down the stairs, looks for his dad, sees the jar of ooze just like spilled all over the place, and then he just walks away.
Doesn't clean it up.
Doesn't clean it up.
No. Where's the
Like
Catholic
my
guilt?
problem.
Oh my God. Like I would have gotten my ass kicked so hard if I were to leave a mess out like that.
I definitely would have lost Polly Pocket privileges if that was if that's what I did.
Once Ivan Ooze is defeated, though, and they go back to the house, they obviously have to clean it. Is the magic still in effect for him to get hypnotized?
God damn, I got caught again.
I thought you were leading in that it was going to be the spell's broken, they get back to the house, and the post-credits is the dad beating Fred for leaving that mess out. Yeah,
No,
they
'cause
have saved the day, but you're not getting away with this.
He has to clean it up. So, like, what if he goes to touch the stuff again and he just walks right back out the door? Fred wakes up in the morning and he sees his dad is on the, the bottom of the construction site. Like, no.
I brought
If only
Ooze
I
back
cleaned
again.
it.
Also, I think I skipped past this. I like how they use like 9 seconds of a They Might Be Giants song that the father's listening to on the radio when he pulls his car in and parks. They spent money on like 9 seconds of They Might Be Giants. It's just a throwaway. It's not even the focus of the scene. It's like diegetically just playing from the car as he parks.
Now, do you think it was expensive for that music? For the music? Like, how much money do you... Because this music wasn't as nostalgic again at the time. So was it as expensive, do you think, at the time?
As an adult, I had the soundtrack. So I listened to the absolute shit out of it.
Yeah.
And I think with the exception of the Red Hot Chili Peppers in the very beginning, I haven't heard of any of the other songs outside of the Power Rangers in this movie context ever.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that probably wasn't much money.
Yeah, because there was the Van Hagar song we get to later.
Yep. I think that's the only other one that's like popular.
Yeah. But even though like that's not even the one song from Van Halen with Sammy Hagar that I know. It's like the Why Can't This Be Love? That's the only song. It's from the same album. But yeah, even that, I don't know. That's
you
why
think they just went through and they said, "We want this band. What's your cheapest stuff?"
Yeah, discount Van Halen. I mean,
everything
that to
must
me
go.
is like, I'm sorry, that Red Hot Chili Peppers opening, that's worth every penny. It's so good.
Oh yeah,
that was like too cool for the. It was like too cool. I was gonna say
Whole
for this
soundtrack.
movie, but I'm not gonna crap on it.
Fred's dad gets oozed and leaves after wasting 9 seconds that they may be giants. And we go back to Zordon HQ. For a second.
Wait, did
Things
we?
are still
'Cause I don't even.
Yeah, we go back and they're just like, check the TV, Alpha. And he's like, oh, and it plays a commercial for ooze.
Oh,
which,
right.
Okay,
I didn't even make note
Ivan
of that.
Ooze knows how to market, optimize poor workflow in the villain sector. This guy is a dream.
They should let him take over.
Yeah, this whole movie is a business, an entrepreneurial masterclass. This whole film. I mean, Ivan just really knows how to maximize his margins, and
he brought thousands of jobs to Angel Grove. Granted, they're short term.
Yeah, talk about terminating the contract.
This way, he doesn't have to end up increasing his state tax on unemployment benefits.
I don't think he's the type to pay taxes too, though.
That's how they can get him.
Yeah.
It's like Al Capone.
They
They'll
get
bring him
him
in
on
on tax
tax
evasion. Well, the court sees it from here. You haven't paid taxes in 1,700 years.
wasn't it 6,000?
Oh, yeah.
He was in the egg
ridiculous.
for 6,000 years.
I mean, after the first 1,000, he used to say.
I don't agree with his policies on public transportation and infrastructure, though. Later in the movie, he doesn't really care about those things. But I guess
Still
with
better
any
than the tea.
with any politician, it's give and take, I guess. So,
So
Ninjetti,
yeah.
Italian.
We get a second, and then we go back to Phaedos,
ancient Italian ninjas.
where they get their
Ninjetti.
animalities.
I also think Ninjetti sounds like an infomercial, like kitchen apparatus. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Just
It
Ninjetti.
slices,
Judo-
it dices.
Ninjetti. Three
Something that they
payments.
shout in between everything they're showing.
Yeah.
Look at it do this. Ninjetti. It could cut clean through a car. Ninjetti.
3 payments of $19.95.
Apply directly to the forehead. Ninjetti.
I don't know if it could cut directly through a car. I don't know if I want to. I do like the score here when they end up doing the sacred ritual to become Ninjetti. Which, having all of these other songs that we mentioned on the soundtrack, it does have a good overall score that kind of creeps in throughout certain scenes. And I think this was the first point where I actually noticed it.
Right.
I do remember really enjoying this scene, and they were getting all of their spirit animals.
I was just happy. I always like when they get new costumes and things, even though their ranger costumes are still cooler here. But I like how Dulcea stops and explains to each person why they have the thing they have. And she does Aisha the bear, fierce and unstoppable, Rocky the ape, powerful and smart, which I would think Billy would be the smart one, Billy the wolf, cunning and swift, Kimberly the crane, agile and light as a feather, Tommy the falcon, winged lord of the skies, and Adam the frog, kissable?
So that whole bit was
note.
ad-libbed.
Yeah. Well, that
Yeah.
was actually, wasn't that
The actor hated it.
yeah.
It was the same exact thing. Samwise got a rope, and it's like, you got any of them daggers left over? He was so pissed that I got a frog. Tommy got a fucking falcon. Kimberly got a crane. That's cool. Aisha got a bear. I got a frog. So
Yeah.
they did all the takes that he was required to do, and then he's like, "Yo, director, can I change it up, do a little thing, something different?" And what we see is the shot that he requested to do, and she ad-libbed it too. Oh yeah, a prince that you kiss, and then she did that. And he's like, "Oh yeah, this is awesome." And that's the one he ended up keeping.
And
They just start
that is
making
good.
out.
That's the only action we see throughout the movie.
He didn't even get a trait. It was just, I'm a frog. And she's like, well, sorry, at least we can kiss if that helps.
Yeah.
He doesn't get a trait, though.
Billy, cunning and swift, Adam with the most kissable lips. Like a frog.
I mean, he got probably the best reward out of the whole thing, but he still got the shortest end of the stick. I don't think the kiss was worth it.
I disagree though, because I think his Zord had a lot.
The tongue thing was cool.
Yeah, I think his Zord actually had a lot more
That's what she said.
usability. I thought his Zord was really, really impressive. And we, again, we'll get into that once we get to the fight, the final fight, and we see all the Zords in action. But I think the frog outperformed the bear. Aisha,
definitely.
I'm looking at you. She was shortchanged.
I mean, they all can fly, which, a flying wolf, a flying frog. I mean, it's only natural.
I had that note. Like, why is there a flying animal if they all just fly anyway?
Yeah, I was gonna say, it kind of takes the charm away.
I
from,
get the crane,
falcon, crane, and then all of them take
the
to
bears
the skies.
flying.
And there was no aquatic Zord, right? It's like, where's your navy?
Might as well. Goldfish.
Shark.
I love how, Dean, why do you go to goldfish?
The mighty flounder.
Plesiosaur.
The others.
The crane, the falcon, and everyone else.
Also, Dulcie as an owl. What?
Yeah. Also,
she transforms
she
into an
couldn't
owl.
Bring them any closer before just turning into an owl and being like, "Well, bye."
She's also like, I can't leave this place, so I'll turn into a ball sack. But she just flies away. Where's she going?
That's a
I
George
think
quote.
she can't leave the planet.
Oh yeah, okay.
Oh, wait,
no, because she can't go to the monolith.
Yeah, she can't go over there.
I thought she didn't go to the monolith because she said it's your quest or something like that.
I thought she said if she leaves the... Yeah, let's be honest. She was just shirking her responsibility.
I was going to say, I think the exact quote was, I have a thing, so... And then she turns into the owl.
I think the oven's on.
Oh, crap. I forgot to unplug my hair straightener.
And then Adam's like, call me.
Wait, owl lady, no.
So, well, from here, we jump back to the parents controlled again at the construction site. So...
The Tengu come back, that's what I have.
Don't get too focused on one scene before we hop back again.
I've got Ivan yells at Tengu warriors because they go back and he just like disintegrates them or something, right? Like he's like, you're useless.
Well, no, it's bullshit because like they kicked the shit out of the Rangers, and the only reason they lost was because Dulcia came in with the spinning air toy thing.
Yeah, like they're like the dog whistles, but they're bow staffs.
And he just decides, you know what? I'm just gonna completely obliterate you guys and not use you again. Like that was probably your best weapon in this whole movie.
Also, missed opportunity. Missed opportunity. They should have turned into little chicken wings when he like obliterated them. Like he.
I did like the gag of like the feathers getting stuck to his face.
Yeah.
Also in my notes I have her Old Dulcea of the Whistling Sticks, which I think is probably accurate.
That sounds like a band name.
They might
Dulcea
be
and
giants
the
and Old Dulcea of the Whistling Sticks.
I think you're giving me ideas for my next D&D character.
So are we going to pass that Ooze was drinking like the professor's concoction from Secret of the Ooze? It had this like metal container with the smoke coming out and a straw.
I completely forget about that.
It looks like a great cocktail.
It does. I always have a thing for dry ice on the bottom of drinks.
Bubbly
it
drinks.
It's just such a cool effect.
Yeah, actually, that reminds me of when you go to Universal, it doesn't matter if it's Florida or California, and you go to Moe's, you can get the Flaming Moe. And they put a little capsule of dry ice at the bottom of the cup, so when you drink it, it comes out. It's pretty fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. It's the details.
Great
Let's all
fun.
Go.
We can now.
We learned that Ooze tolerates no failure in staff, and also that these birds talk now.
Right.
And one of them sounded like Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just came out of nowhere.
Threw one of them off a mountain, went into a raging river.
So, they've all been...
All right, Ivan, here's the deal.
Oh, I got McConaughey out of that one. I know which one you're talking about. I got a little bit of McConaughey out of him. I don't know why.
How to fight these
Jason
Power
Confused.
Rangers.
So are we settled in? Too late. We're back to Phaedos.
This is the first fight that they have, right? With the skeleton this time?
Yeah.
Officially?
With the like the gargoyles.
The The skeleton.
Oh wait, yep, you're right. Yeah,
It's like the Triceratops kind of skeleton.
They make a Jurassic Park
rhino.
joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget that they fight the gargoyles the 9th time they go back to Phaedos.
Yep.
This was like they were like scared. Like they were scared at this fight. Like I feel like they faced worse and they were like terrified.
Well, Dean, how do you kill that which has no life? I mean, it's a skeleton. How do you kill it?
I mean, Tommy figures it out, but this is very.
Well, I thought that was
Aisha,
hilarious how he just like hops on
Picks
the back
the one
of it,
bone.
and then
Oh,
everyone just stands by and watches. Like, go, Tommy! Like, you got this. It's like there's 6 of you. Figure it out.
Aisha.
Also, like before the fight starts, Adam is walking through and sees all of it, and he's like, "Welcome to Jurassic Park."
And it's dumb too, because like I like Jurassic Park. I didn't get any fucking dinosaur vibes from this. Their previous morphers were dinosaurs, and this is the time when you want to drop that.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I think also they're in a jungle, and there was a Triceratops skeleton.
Was it though? It was only one horn.
Yeah.
Was it one horn?
So
there are some dinosaurs that just have the plate. But...
So it was just a ceratops.
Yeah.
An unceratops.
I was gonna say Unisops.
Unisops.
Cytops. The Aisha and Kimberly are damsels in distress, like back to back in the scene. Like
Pissed me off so
both
much.
need to be saved.
Because I was thinking about it going into this movie. I'm like, yeah, like this is why I loved this, show and this movie, because you've got women in an action movie that are young and I could look up to them. And then I'm rewatching it. I'm like, holy shit, they were useless for most of the movie. I mean, luckily, I think Aisha gets the last word later on. But yeah, honestly, I was very disappointed.
I think Kimberly got the worst of it.
Yeah.
Because Aisha was also useful. But then again, at the same time, I know there's like certain points where like Adam's also in danger or Billy's also having to call out for help.
Right.
It's really Tommy and the Power Rangers, because he handles and finishes pretty much every major fight in the whole movie.
Exactly.
Kimberly just has that moment where she's like, Tommy, no.
Yeah, she just straight up like... Screw you, Adams. Billy who? Tommy, get your ass
It would have
over
been great
here.
if like Adam is next to her or like Rocky is next to her and she's like, Tommy.
No.
They're trying to help her and she's like, no, Tommy.
I have a boyfriend. Tommy. I like how Aisha gets attacked. And then Adam drops what he's doing. He starts running to help her, and he sees Rocky run over first and get knocked away. And he just stops what he's doing. He's like, nope.
I think I'll help someone else.
Yeah.
I'll think I'm going to go help Kimberly. Tommy.
They have to quip every time they do something. Like, Tommy's like, hey, Fossilhead, I got a bone to pick with you. Grabs the bone.
I like how he pulls the vertebrae out of the neck and it falls apart. And I wanted that to actually be the technique he used against Ivan Ooze at the end of the movie.
That'd be
You
a great
can't defeat, and he
fatality.
just rips one vertebrae out.
He does like Sub-Zero fatality.
Or maybe Ivan does that to them later.
Yeah.
Tommy!
So we did miss a quote when we temporarily go back to Ivan Ooze's lair during this fight, because why just see the whole fight through? Like, we have to cut halfway through the fight. So we go over and basically Ivan Ooze is saying,
Feast your eyes on the exoskeleton of the barbaric Hornitor. The dreaded Scorpitron should be close by. Once my lovely little ectomorphic machines are up and running, spreading ooze throughout the world, I shall annihilate Angel Grove, and then the universe!
and I just want to note
That's
that
a
was
large
0
leap.
to 60 real fast.
Well, I thought he said, we'll destroy Angel Grove and then the universe.
Yes. So he
Which I was
jumps.
like, what's your end game here, bud? Because like, okay, so you destroy the universe. Where does that leave you?
Yeah. I had
Like,
that
you're
exact
part
note.
of the universe.
Like, what? Don't they just want? It's always the bad guys always want to destroy the city. It's not like I understand you want the humans out of the way, but it's not like you're a barbarian or like an anarchist. Like you don't dress in those kind of clothes if you like don't care about things.
Like what's in it for
rule
you?
the wasteland. Like he's ruining the infrastructure of the city. Like you need that later.
I think the great Michael Caine had once said,
"Some men just want to watch the world burn."
He was talking about Ivan Ooze.
Then he should be naked and not care about anything.
Where's the extent? So he destroys the universe. Okay, so he's part of the universe. He's not going anywhere else. So does he intend to like, I'll turn the lights off when I'm done? Like I'll go out?
Yeah, maybe.
Exactly. Like what's in it for him? Yeah. Okay, so we're back to the fight, you guys.
I just feel like the guy who's complaining about missing the Brady Bunch reunion is not here to end his life with the universe.
at least Thanos had like a better idea.
Yeah,
about
like
his
an end
role
game.
plan.
He had an end game. Anybody?
Yeah. Like, I mean, this guy doesn't need power. He needs a Netflix account. Just give him something to catch up on the cultural norms he's missed.
I should change my ways.
So, so we had that. We had the fight with that first Triceratops thing. And then we whip back to the construction again. Because this is when Ooze tells all the parents, after your job is complete, jump to your deaths. And Goldar says, "See ya, wouldn't want to be ya." Which,
very lighthearted.
One thing, ice cold. Two, "See ya, wouldn't want to be ya," I remember was the catchphrase of the main character from VR Troopers. That was another Saban show I used to watch.
I remember the show, but
that was just a popular kids catchphrase too.
Yeah. Because I remember they used to say that when they bumped off like every villain at the end of the episode. "See ya, wouldn't want to be ya."
What were Beetleborg's quotes? I don't remember.
They were later on. I think during this time the power trio was this, VR Troopers, and Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad.
Was it? I thought they kind of got the short end of the stick.
I mean, yeah, it was definitely Power Rangers in top, and then I think it was probably Superhuman Samurai in 2, and then VR Troopers in 3. Because the other toys transformed, whereas VR Troopers, it's like you don't have the popularity of Power Rangers, and you don't have the toys that transform like Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. So
there's a YouTube video I'll have to send you because the guy goes into like the history of VR Troopers, and it's actually the most interesting out of the lot because apparently they pulled from 2 separate shows to create VR Troopers. So you had 3, your 3 main heroes. The leader never was on screen at the same time as the other 2. So they had to find unique ways of constantly splitting the party so it would explain why the morphed or like the VR versions of the characters were never together at the same time.
Hey, we should split the party. Good idea.
Yeah. But like every episode. So it was real interesting on why did you guys decide to use 2 separate shows to make one? That's just you're going to write yourself into a wall right off the bat. So it was interesting they did that.
One thing that we learned that the parents are being tasked to do is unearth. It's and I love these words. These words are just so fun to chew on. It's Ivan Ooze's ectomorphicons.
Ooh.
Yeah, and
Ecto.
the names that I tried to pick up on I got were Hornitor, like Hornet or Hornitor, and Scorpitron. Which
I would have called them Garblaxicons.
Well, I was going to say, Dean, hear me out. Baby names. So that's what we're seeing when we go to the construction site is that they
Nobody
are
will
actively
mess with our
excavating.
children.
Scorpitron.
Shouldn't use my name.
Oh, sorry.
Well, we'll beep it out.
Yeah.
Well, you'll beep it out.
You're all getting cut from this episode. Re-recording it myself.
So, launched back into space, back to Phaedos another time, arriving at Olmec's temple.
Is that from Legends of the Hidden Temple?
Yeah.
No, it just. Well, I mean that is, but this.
Yes.
No, I know, but I
It's the
got that
exact
vibe.
set.
Like that's exactly what I thought of when they got there. I was like, oh my gosh, they're definitely at Nickelodeon Studios. Like there's just no question in my mind.
They break their morpher in half, and if they get caught, they have to give it up.
I did not like their outfits this time around because whenever they ninjettied up, all they did was put their hood on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I like how they do it as if they're doing the transformation thing of they're like, yeah, let's go. And all of a
Just
sudden
have a
they all
mask.
have their hoods up. It's like, oh. It still would have been great if they pan back and then all the gargoyles are gone.
It's just like,
It was
you guys
that.
took
It was
too long again.
It was like, are we? I felt like that was much quicker. Really, that long again? Okay.
It's the 12 flips afterwards that really adds to it.
My main note here is corkscrew kick.
The thing is the camera flashes and zooms in on each one as if they're morphing again.
Right.
And they just put their hoods up.
Also, quick point on the outfit too. Kimberly's is literally just a Jasmine outfit with a cheerleader pleated skirt on top. So there's just that note. So that's what I took away. Yeah, gender norms. Gender norms, the movie. Screwball kick. I want to go back to the screwball kick that Dean was mentioning. That's actually a quadruple axel. I Googled it. Nobody's been able to give him a 7.
That's the Russian judge. Always harsh.
I also love that he shouts the name of. It's like he's inventing the names of his new moves. He's like, because he literally says,
Ninjetti corkscrew kick!
before he does it. And I'm like, this is fantastic. Just name as you go along.
Well, plus the fact that if he's yelling Ninjetti first, that means that they just got this power and he's just making this up. So he's just taking it for a drive.
Work with me here, guys.
Then the
Spitballing.
gargoyle's like, fist punch, and just knocks him down. It's another one I've been working on.
Foot kick.
Well, I like how they're fighting, and Rocky climbs the cliff to help out Adam and do a surprise attack, jumps down, and then just gets swatted off the side, and it's like, nope, now you gotta go save Rocky.
Well, because Rocky was trying to do like his ninjetti, his spirit animal's the ape, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what he was trying to emulate is when an ape kind of, like what you see with Godzilla, King Kong, when he when you see with King Kong when he's jumping off a building, it's like it's the same kind of effect. Just fix it in post, Dean. Good Lord.
A few years too early compared to the Seth Rogen jump from Pineapple Express.
Oh yes, same feel.
I'd rather have him as my
spirit animal.
Yeah,
your ninjetti animality.
Seth Rogen.
Just like
it's like getting high,
and then it's like his laugh, like echoing in the background.
I want to see that Zord. You just have like a little window up in his hair.
Curly tall, like Kramer hair. I can't handle all the quips and one-liners. There's dishing more out here in the scene.
Yeah.
So I like how they fight all of these gargoyles off. So for anybody unfamiliar, these are kind of statues that were part of the temple that then ended up turning into actual creatures that they can't seem to beat to death because they're made of stone.
I started to call them golems because I felt gargoyle was like, they are gargoyles, but
they're not perching.
Yeah.
Well, they were perched.
Aren't they just standing? They're just standing there.
But I like how they end up having to find a way. They kill the first one by dropping it into the water, and then they just somehow dig deep and then just beat the other ones into submission anyway.
Well, hear me out. If I'm the ranger, which I think it may have been Tommy after the ninjetti screwball kick, if I'm the ranger that kicks the rock monster into the water and it evaporates, I'm going to tell my friends, hey, you guys, I think we should throw water on the other. Because
Tell
I don't
them
think
to bring these sons of bitches down.
like it's like signs, right? He cracked the code. Water kills the aliens. Like, let's do this. Let's get all this.
His weakness is what brings life.
Use the air. Blow on them.
Also, I would have loved if when he does the corkscrew kick, he spins so many times, he kicks them, and then just starts dry heaving.
Or like he just keeps going and like bores a hole into a wall.
Tommy.
Johnny.
So we go back
what's their
to
power?
Angel Grove.
Oh, do we?
Well, I think this is when they finish the fight and they get the Zords.
New swords.
Comes out.
New swords.
You know what I thought?
And actually, they get their cool costumes back.
You know what I thought when they got new Zords? It's like new toys, new toy sales is what the producer said.
Yeah.
I need you writers to add new
cash
toys.
register noises as it's all flying around.
I hated the new Zords, but I love the Falcon Zord. That is still one of my favorite ships in any kind of science fiction thing to this day. Yeah, that is my absolute favorite.
I loved the McDonald's Happy Meal toys that tied in with this.
Yes.
I made sure we had to go get. I got the frog, the falcon, and I think I got one other. I might have got the ape.
Yeah, they definitely gave the girl ranger Zords to girls, like if they were getting a Happy Meal, because I never got any of the guys.
I wouldn't have minded the crane. I would have dug the crane.
The bear was cool too. I thought the bear Zord, like I loved the look of it. The morpher was cool. It just didn't do anything when push came to shove. Like I think literally the Zord just stands up on its hind legs and then it like falls over. That's it. So, I mean, it was great. That's why I said Adam's frog Zord really did the work. If you
the secret MVP.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like Ape was the lame. Like he was disappointed to beat the frog, but I feel just like Ape. Just like, why not gorilla? Why not call it gorilla? It just sounds cooler. I don't know.
They were just predicting Wall Street bets.
You'll be Cro-Magnon.
Also, I think at the end of the day, no matter how cool your Zord is, the two most important ones are the ones that form the legs. Otherwise, you're just kind of a giant robot torso.
Crawling.
It is kind of biased it is biased for Tommy the entire movie, though, because like how I mentioned, he kind of saves the fight with every fight.
Yep.
At the end, it's the same exact thing where his Zord is the only one with actual weapons on it. And I don't mean like space lasers and shit. He's got actual missiles.
Until
actual
Aisha.
air-to-ground missiles.
He one-shots the Max.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, you're absolutely 100% correct, but for some reason, Aisha's Zord is the only one that has a push in case of emergency button.
Yeah, I mean, that was push in case of emergency groin kick that Johnny Cage would be proud of.
Nut punch.
I mean, that was in like the commands area, but
hey, if I'm any woman who knows self-defense, aim for the crotch.
Has that button.
Has that button. And they know. And
so
yeah.
So the CGI, as we said, hasn't aged perfectly. Like everything's looked pretty good throughout the movie. I know a lot of the makeup effects, everything was good, the practical. I think the main problem with the Zord fights and whatnot at the end, because now we get back to Earth, the two Hornabot and Scorpitoad or whatever they're called that he has are rampaging through Angel Grove.
Scorpitron.
Thank you. But I feel like because they look overly shiny and chrome, it's to the point where it looks
witness
dated.
Me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, again, it brought me right back to Terminator 2. But it was too liquidy. It wasn't nearly as cool.
Yeah, like if they dirtied it up a bit and didn't have it like brand new, polished, shining, it would look a little more realistic.
Yeah, especially because they just dug them up out of a construction site.
Well, what we didn't see is the 10,000 parents hand polishing them before jumping to their deaths.
Turtle wax.
Well, when you're done, jump to your death. I don't know. I think I could get it shinier. I'm going to give it one more pass. Let's start from the bottom.
Something they and Tommy have in common, just like keeping squeaky clean.
Yeah.
The dirtiest of circumstances. I was really missing the theme song when these Zords finally came out. I mean, I know it kicks in later when they form up, but I wanted to hear it right there.
That is a great theme song, though.
It's the anthem to my childhood.
Yeah.
It's a great anthem.
It's just so good.
Everyone gets excited when that guitar lick comes in.
I mean, that's like the first exposure to metal is that theme song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that pretty much set the stage going forward after that.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to see like the behind the scenes like studio session of the dude just like hitting the finger tapping like I want to see that.
Oh man.
It's actually 27 guitars and they're all playing one note in unison.
And you just know he
It's
had
like Japanese
like the,
precision.
You know,
it's
he
just
had
like the wave.
He had the long hair like they have in that music video, the More Than Words music video. You know that's what they look like.
That's your long hair reference? Yeah, we know.
That's what, yeah, what's the name of that? I can't remember the name of them, but that's what I'm picturing. Extreme, thank you. Oh, hey, it fits in with the theme, right? So they have that long hair. I know it. When you hear that music, you just know.
There's a wind blowing too, or wind blowing his hair back.
I like how during the Zord, or kind of prepping for the Zord fight, they jump back to headquarters again, and Zordon is laying there, and he just does like, Alpha, Alpha, and I was just expecting to be like, kill me.
Life is pain.
I'm not supposed to be out of my cylinder. This long existence is pain.
Alpha, let's do the time warp again.
How do you do that? Well, it's just a jump to the left. And then he dies.
I think he's just like.
Let's see, we used up the last of that power.
I just picture him being like,
Oh god.
Alpha, Alpha, delete my search history. Dead.
I was looking up what a real doll is. So I like how he calls him over, and then Alpha's like, what? He's like, keep trying. Well, yeah, man.
I'm a robot. I don't know how to give up. I'm programmed to keep
like
going.
Alpha's gonna be like, oh, I'll redouble my efforts. Thanks.
I got tired, even though I'm a robot.
Yeah.
There's no power.
So I call the, okay, so on one page of my notes, I call them ectomorphicons. And then on the next page, I call them ectomorphitrons. So I'm not really sure which one.
I don't think they probably didn't say the same thing each time either.
All I know is... Oh, go ahead.
I called them Scorponok and Waspinator. So.
Again, more baby names.
Is Scorponok a transformer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought so.
I would have loved to
sense.
see the original Zords, because it's like growing up on those and then getting the movie. I really wanted to see the originals, like
the
Tyrannosaurus.
Yeah.
And
that really bothered me too, on how they have the new emblems on their chest, but they still have the Tyrannosaur helmet and the saber-tooth tiger helmet.
Yeah.
Like they should have gotten new
You're right.
outfits or just ditched it entirely and just went with the hood up of the thing.
I didn't catch that.
I do think Kimberly's mask still worked for the crane because it's almost like a beak, but I agree. The other ones were, Sorry, guys. I only care about Kimberly, okay? There's a trend.
I also like how when all of them decide to go into their Zords, Tommy backflips straight up into the air and then somehow lands in his Zord.
He gets caught. Doesn't it fly by? I guess it flies and catches all of them.
They show all of them like port up in the air, but then when it cuts to Tommy, he's doing backflips, and then his Zord just picks him up. So,
and when
I guess he doesn't teleport inside of it; he teleports near it, and then just has to backflip into it.
Gotta work out the programming.
I have noted here that when this is all happening and they're going into their Zords, we get the line "inconceivable." And from Ivan Ooze, and also he can smell them again. So just consistently.
Oh yeah, inconceivable. Yeah, that had to be a reference.
When did Princess Bride come out? Though that was
it was out already. Yeah, that was out well.
But it was
though.
still like a cultural staple, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I caught
I just
that
feel
too.
bad for the parents. By the time the Rangers actually even get back, the amount of time it passed since, once you're done, go throw yourselves off the cliff, to now, they're dead. It's already over.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, just the time it
cliff
takes
is
for them to
real
do their
nearby.
backflips alone, the parents are screwed.
I could have sworn, too, that the construction site was right next to the factory where he was doing everything. So it was like, go kill yourselves, jump off the cliff, and it's just them lumbering across the street and then just falling.
Like lemmings.
The camera just slightly pans.
Well, but then you have Fred. So we've established that the parents are going to throw themselves at the bottom of the quarry. So Fred Kelman, our hero,
at the most baller party,
a purple party.
Yeah,
That's
no
what I
parents
called
party.
it. They're all wearing purple.
I had Foot Clan vibes.
I was gonna say Shredder would have a field day getting these
Yep.
kids into the Foot Clan.
I've got a new family.
Is it free?
And I remember the vibe of this party that you see. It's like, who needs parents? Am I right?
Yeah,
Parents
we're
suck.
bumping 1995 Shampoo's Trouble.
Our parents could throw themselves off a cliff for all I care. Let's party.
Well, funny you should ask.
And then Fred
Since
has like a little speech, right? And he says, guys, we need our parents. Like, we have to save them. That's
And
not a
evidently
direct
that's
quote.
enough. Also, I like how Bulk and Skull are at this kid's party.
They look so much older than
yeah,
everyone
wait,
else.
were they at
They're
the
supposed to be
party?
in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were at the party.
Because I was confused when they showed up with the kids later. I'm like, what? Where did they come from?
Which I think I didn't get is they were covered in the ooze too. Like, are they not under the influence? Because these guys are in their
They're
mid-20s.
16-year-olds.
They're not parents.
Well, I mean, in the show, they're supposed to be in high school, so technically they would be 15, 16.
Well, and according to Ivan Ooze, the ooze only works on parents. So
Oh,
I don't know. I mean, I guess this was a good way
They
for
haven't had
us to
kids.
know that they
I was
are
going to say, luckily,
virgins.
Bulk and Skull always practice safe sex, and that's
I'll say-
prevented them from getting oozed.
It'd be funny if one of them did fall under the influence, and that's like how you find out. Oh my god,
Right.
he's a
It's
dad.
like, oh my God.
Skull just breaks Fred's neck. Mission complete.
I was going to say bulk fucks, but if you're saying that's how
This
you
guy
know.
fucks.
This guy fucks.
What an extreme lifestyle.
We get back to like the Zords. They cut back from that, and like the Zords are in full
Yeah, with
tussle.
Just doing their best.
Yeah.
Although the frog is still holding his own with the tongue lasso, and then Billy's like, I'll step in and help. And he jumps and bites the tail with his Zord and then just starts getting whipped around.
Yeah.
Like, what was his end game there?
Hanging on.
The frog, really, Adam's Zord was the MVP until, I will say, the coolest part of this whole fight for me was when the cannons I think they're like cannons shoot out of the wings.
Rockets away!
Yeah, Ninja Falcon
of
is
the
Yeah, that's the
Falcon.
coolest
Oh my
part.
God, that's
Yeah,
so
that's
cool.
awesome. I
Yeah.
agree with
Actual
Nick.
weapons.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with Nick. That solidified it as like, okay, these are cool Zords. That's a cool Zord
Yeah.
That one is, yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, that's easily the most expensive Zord.
I was disappointed in Adam here though when he does use the frog tongue. He's like, bad move, Sparky. If you play with fire, you're gonna get burned, and there's no fire anywhere. I don't know where that.
And then he
came
tongue
from.
lassos the falcon and slams it into it.
Where's the fire?
Sorry, Tommy.
What's he gonna say? Like, if you play with the tongue, you're gonna get licked.
Oh, what was that terrible
That's how
line
this
from
episode
X-Men?
is starting with that line.
What happens to a toad whenever it gets struck by lightning? The same thing everything else does.
And then Scorponok's like, what? And they're like, wait a couple of years.
Tell you when you're older. Why didn't Tommy use those right away?
Because he got shot in the beginning.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
right.
got
He had to
taken
go
out.
fix his, and that was a little strange too,
chakras.
because it's like it's really building up how awesome Tommy is this whole movie, and then when the big fight starts, he just immediately gets
Taken out of the game.
sniped. Yeah, and he's like, "Oh crap! I have to go to it's like the NASCAR pit to get the tires changed. He has to like go get, and also
that's how you
who
raise
fixed
stakes.
it?
Set him up as the hero and then just take him out, and everybody's like, "Oh no,
what do we do?"
Also,
did he repair the Falcon? Like, who repaired it?
I was wondering the whole time of like, who repairs the Zords in general? Is it Alpha?
Right?
Do they are they organic that they naturally heal themselves over time? I do love the look of the cockpits in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one actually, like, they were real and you could see the outside instead of just like some colored wall that's next to them.
Yeah. Although the thing that I found interesting is when they cut back to Ooze during the fight, and when Kimberly stepped in to do something, he was like,
Ah, here comes that cute little pink ranger to the rescue.
Oh, you think she's cute too, huh?
So
just gives him the look.
Kimberly is everyone's type.
And
she's the popular.
16?
She's like the cheerleader.
It's like,
well, in the movie,
yeah,
I guess, yeah.
It's a little weird, but yeah, every
we
girl
don't know
wanted
how
to be.
old Goldar is.
Isn't he like
He was just
6,000 years
produced.
old?
He's only like 6 years old, right? He was produced as a monster.
Yeah, that's
He's
true.
made out of clay.
He's like Maurice.
Exactly.
He's Fred's age. He is a crush. That's all. No, I did. Again, that just kind of feeds back into, every girl wanted to be Kimberly, every boy wanted to be Tommy, and then there's the other guys.
And the rest of the Rangers.
And the rest of them.
I like how Evan Booze. He reminds me of like what Nightmare on Elm Street is it where he like is like a worm with like a face on it?
That's in Freddy versus Jason.
Really? That late?
They have the scene when it's what's his name, like Smoke Dog or whatever, their Jay and Silent Bob analog guy. He goes into the psychiatric ward and he's supposed to get the Hypnosil, and then Freddy comes in as like the caterpillar and starts like smoking a bong with him.
I remember
and then
that.
Possesses him.
But I thought there was one where like he's like more like here, like Ivan, like his face, he starts to morph into the Zord that's about to get his ass kicked.
I mean, they do
and
that.
Like his like that long neck face.
He also does that, and I think New Nightmare, where he turns into kind of like a snaky thing.
Maybe that's what
and
I'm
he
thinking.
Also does it again in, I think, Dream Warriors, the third one.
Okay.
That's why I thought it was the third one, because Jolene made me watch that, and I remember that.
Yeah, they use that bit a bunch of times. The one where he genuinely turns into like an actual worm type thing is Freddy versus Jason.
Well,
But
yeah,
he turns
right.
into like a giant
long
worm
neck.
snake.
Yeah,
like a long thing, because he's big enough to just like swallow a person in the third one.
It also reminded me of the cover art for Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas with Johnny Depp. Just like how the neck is like. You guys don't remember the cover art for that?
Oh yeah, like the
cover of the VCR, or like the VCR tape, VHS tape. I mean,
the VCR tape.
Yeah, I remember that in like Blockbuster. I would see it all the time, but I was never allowed to watch it.
So I like how all these kids on Fred's mission to save the parents have to get on this train to get across town to go help them. And then they decide to blow up the tracks, whether intentionally or unintentionally.
No, they didn't blow up the tracks. It was the Zord walked through it.
Oh, the Zord walked through it?
Yeah, that's the only damage to the city the Zords really did. They were left to go play, have fun for the last 10 hours that they were kicking around, and all they really did was just destroy the tram track. And that's it.
The bad ones. I thought you meant the actual their Zords. I was going to be like,
no.
wow.
No, actually, the bear one got like kicked into a building. And it did some pretty heavy damage to that, but that was more collateral than anything else.
Yeah.
Also,
Luckily,
that
all
train-
the people that worked in that building were parents, so they were all down at the construction site.
Yeah.
Well, I did get some heavy Disney monorail vibes from that train. Like it
Monorail.
looked exactly like the monorail.
So I like how Tommy brings the Falcon down to line up on the gap in the tracks to save the train. Great that the train happened to leave the tracks, hit the Falcon, and then go right back onto the exact point in the tracks and not derail.
Yeah. You almost wonder if it's like the reverse, one of those like magnet trains, you know, like.
Oh, if it's not actually like a rail train.
Mm-hmm. And it's just, it floats on. I'm giving this way too much credit.
It's like one of those ones from like Black Panther at the end when they have like the reverse magnet force train.
That's definitely what they were going for.
Yeah, I think that's what they had in Angel Grove back in 1995.
I'm more shocked watching this again that the scaling of the Zords in the show, they seem to be so much larger.
Yeah.
In the show, they're larger.
This one, they're like maybe 10, 20 feet tall for some of them.
True, yeah. They're next to buildings, and they're only coming up to like maybe the 5th window.
Yeah, it's man in suit like Godzilla style smashing in the show.
Yeah.
Destroying cities.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little smaller. A lot smaller.
During this point in the fight as well, it cuts to Rita and Zed in the snow globe. And they start cheering for the Rangers.
Wow! If it isn't that double-dealing doughhead! I hope those Rangers put that lousy lowlife out of my misery! Go Rangers! Go Rangers! Go Rangers!
To beat Ivan, and that just made me think of that line of like, we need each other, you know, in order to exist. Like, we have to, like, we can't exist without the other. So that's what they figure
they're
out.
the Joker to the Batman. Like,
exactly.
I like after Tommy saves those kids, like he's like, good luck, kids. Like, I know you have to choose between, okay, do we stop Ivan and his things? But like a bunch of people are about to commit suicide, and he's like, kids, go, hope you can work that out.
Would have been great if he was like, good luck, kids, and then it pans away, and all of a sudden you see a second break in the tracks further down.
What I thought was like really freaky though was that once the kids show up to stop the parents from like trying to push him back, Fred goes to the edge of the cliff and tries to formulate a plan, and just quickly looking with the amount of time the camera gives you, all I saw was like a fucking gas truck and a crane. I'm like, what's he gonna do? Like blow them up? And then like with enough time passing of you know, we keep cutting back to like the fight with the Rangers and then back to the parents. We see the crane come up and he's got like a water cannon.
Well, is that what the gas truck was? It was water?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
what if it's gas?
He just starts dousing them in
Spraying them with
gasoline.
gasoline.
I can't let you guys
That was
fall.
intense. I could use a smoke. No.
I'll murder you instead of letting you kill yourselves. The way they're like walking, like, you know, lumbering towards the cliff or whatever. The way they're like saying "leap to our doom," like it made me think it could be like the beginning of a metal song. Like I just heard guitars coming in underneath that.
That's the sound clip directly before the breakdown. In every mid to early 2000s metalcore song.
Leap to our doom, dun, 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 dun. Yeah. I'm gonna.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes.
Actually, rewatching it again too. I guess like a wheelbarrow was knocked over the ledge and it fell. Those parents would have lived. Maybe some like heavy abrasion.
It's a 15-foot fall.
Some broken bones.
More like 10. More like 10 feet.
Definitely the back half would have lived.
I was gonna say they land on top of the other bodies. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Breaking
or
their
what
fall.
the kid could have done is just like blown up the bottom and then just turn it from a cliff into a steep incline, and then they can just gradually walk down.
I mean, I'd rather fall 10 feet than get hit with a riot water cannon.
True.
And he was mostly spraying the kids that were trying to help.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm sorry, I've been oozed too. I was a sleeper agent.
Like they're like holding it back and like they're getting shot in the back with a high pressure cannon. Like, oh,
My
you're supposed to be
activation code was
helping.
we have to help our parents.
So then we get to the point.
Vulcan Skull helps to save the day there.
Do they?
They go with Fred. They help get the truck set up and get that kid into it. I don't think that kid would have been able to operate that crane or cherry picker and get all that set up without the technical acumen of 16-year-old Bulk and Skull.
6'5" Bulk. 16-year-old.
They really did. I wonder how old the actors were when they filmed this. I didn't
Science,
check.
we can figure that out.
Old enough that the guy that plays Skull actually had production experience with the show. And I think he directed a couple of episodes too.
Oh, huh.
Good for him.
Yeah.
I think both of them are involved in that movie I mentioned, The Order, which is just fun to see that all of them are still doing stuff together.
Yeah, they're definitely Bulk and Skull. I know Skull definitely is. He's very pro Power Ranger, and he does a lot of conventions and stuff, still promoting the show and just making appearances and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't tie to any particular scene, but in hindsight, I really feel bad that the Red Ranger really gets dethroned by Tommy, and it turns into the Tommy show on all of these. They're fighting off with their Zord, and we can't take him out until Tommy shows up to be the head.
Yeah.
Rough break.
Rough.
Well, they should have just left him out. Like, they should have just said, you know what, we've got Tommy now. Yes, let's have Adam and Aisha, but like, we don't need another Red Ranger for now. Let's just.
That's why I really miss Jason, because he was the leader of the Rangers.
Yeah.
And so Tommy was able to have his moment in the spotlight, but Jason was still able to bring his whole team forward as a group. So whenever Tommy did his like shining star moments, that he can just shine, but then like, oh, that's it. His guest appearance is done for the episode. Let us finish.
Mm-hmm.
With his competition out the window, it's just him now. So,
right.
Yeah, it added more to the show having
two leaders,
kind of like the co-leaders. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just it just wasn't evenly distributed, the power, the leadership qualities. Nothing was evenly. It was just so lopsided. So that took away a little bit from it. But to a certain extent, I liked the back and forth between, like, the bromance, I guess, between Rocky and Adam. And you didn't get like a whole lot from Billy. So
he had a tough time on the show.
He did. I did read that. He faced a lot of homophobia.
Which I know also during the filming of the movie, I think some of the original cast, like Billy and whatnot, ended up having to talk to the writers and the director and say, like, we've been here since the beginning, and the original script had a lot more scenes with the new people than them. And they had to talk about, like, can we split some of these or get us in more of them? And they had to do some rewrites and whatnot to get them in more stuff. But I'd be interested to see, like, just how much they took away from them in the original portion. Yeah. But I feel like Billy's in it enough in this one. He doesn't have, like, a partner he ties out to, like Adam and Rocky palling around, but he just seems to pop up to help everyone and has his own cool stuff he does.
Yeah, the problem, he used to be paired up with Trini.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he didn't have that with Aisha.
Nope.
Yeah, she kind of did her own thing.
She's Beyonce. Everyone else is just
Queen Aisha.
The other two.
Yeah, the other two.
The rest of them.
Do you remember in the beginning of the movie where they had that like whole observatory thing and a comet?
Oh yes.
No,
yeah, this is where the payoff is.
I don't.
So they decide, after wreaking havoc on Angel Grove, that they need to bring the fight to space.
Now.
And they figure, let's just go up to space and then just run Ivan Ooze into the comet, because that's how comets work.
That's right. Was it Halley's Comet, too? There was a name for it. Or no, it was Orion's. Oriion's Comet. Like, it was from Orion's
belt. It was like
belt.
Bill's Comet. Timmy's Comet. Do you know how fast comets are traveling?
Pretty fast.
And
at least like 20 miles an hour.
So yeah, this is where I like how Aisha has a break glass in case of emergency button that she activates, that then just launches a foot forward and just kicks him in the groin.
You know, it's frustrating to me with how campy this whole movie is. This is the one thing that triggers me. Like, fucking really?
I loved it. I loved it. After a movie filled with damsel in distress moments, I was like, thank God, finally a break.
I couldn't remember what happens, and for some reason, the first thing my head thought was it was an eject button that was going to launch her and her Zord, and she was going to be like, I'll grapple him into the comet myself. She'd be like, oh man, this is how she goes out.
Like a Bruce Willis Armageddon moment.
Or better yet, what if it wasn't the eject for her? It launches one of the new people. Sorry, Rocky.
I thought they were going to say it launches her, and she's like, I'm going back to Earth. Good luck.
Get him, Tommy.
Turns out this shit is not for me.
So he gets taken out by this comet.
So
End
monsters,
scene Ivan Ooze.
Yeah.
He's
Destroyed.
done for. Yeah.
And then they
we
go
end up
back
back at Zordon HQ.
to find a dead Zordon.
I was really hoping they go in and Alpha's like, I'm sorry, Rangers, you're too late. Now one of you must be entombed in his place in the glass symbiote, as is law.
Tommy, you're the most powerful.
Oh, I was just going to say, bye, Rocky. You're disposable.
I was thinking, like, they're all looking at him there, like, dead. Like, it's like somebody has to kiss him. It works in other movies.
Adam, use your frog power.
Use your tongue. Just making out with Zordon to get him to come back to life.
And then Alpha turns out to be Ivan Ooze again. Work this out in therapy. See you guys.
Surprise. No, I love how their default is, okay, necromancy.
Yeah, they use their ninjetti powers to resurrect the dead, which opens a bunch of implications for their whole universe. Yeah. Or, because I noticed all the other stuff in the room that was broken is just like falling back up and put itself in place. Are they resurrecting him or are they turning back time? Because if so, they should never let Cher get this power.
Worse yet, if it was just them repairing everything. Like, if it's literally just turn the power back on and Zordon would come back, and that's all it would have taken. This whole time, Alpha was fucking fiddling with the TV to make sure it worked when he could have just been getting the power back on.
Yeah. Also, one of the lamps that was fixed was definitely an electric lamp from Spencer Gifts.
And they started to run out of money towards the end.
What if they showed up just in time and Alpha thought that they had failed when he saw all the Zords go into space, so they catch him like with a pillow over Zordon's head?
Good night, sweet prince.
Oh, Rangers, you did it.
I won't let us live in a world owned by Ivan Ooze.
Like Cuckoo's Nest.
Alpha throws a water fountain through the window and leaves the observatory.
With like the native drums playing. My thought was like, oh, they like the powers allow them to do like disaster reconstruction, and I thought they could make a real killing and play both sides of that business, like because every fight that they're involved in like destroys the city. So then they have a business where they just reconstruct the city, so they play both sides. And make a lot of money.
There's a group in Marvel that their entire job is just doing cleanup from all the fights. I think it's damage control.
Oh, right. Yeah, they could make a killing on that.
Yeah, I'm sure Zordon's electrical bill is kind of up there.
A time warp isn't cheap these days.
No, not at all.
Is there a better way to end this movie than fireworks and Van Hagar?
Well, you completely skipped over the part
I got the power to really seal in that 90s soundtrack feel coming into that party, which looks like a solid celebration. I would be excited to show up to this.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, the parents don't leap to their doom.
No, they were saved by the riot cannon.
Yeah. That was because it cuts back to them real quick because as soon as
Dad,
as soon as he's kicked in the nuts and obliterated by the comet, the parents
breaks his hold.
the parents snap out of their trance, and they are saved. And then we get into the power by Snap, and we have the party.
Now, the only problem is using the water hose. Fred probably caused grievous bodily injury to most of these parents that are not going to sue his dad into oblivion.
Yeah.
You know, a firefighter doesn't make that much money.
But, you know, then he can just have another skydiving charity and charity event, and they can raise the money for all of the injury incurred.
Yeah, Tommy, where's your fucking snowboard now?
Go to my GoFundMe, please.
Can you use your ninjetti powers to fix this family?
So at the party, Fred Kelman, I always have to say his full name, he is talking to his buddies, the Rangers, and goes on about how maybe someday he can be the Gold Ranger. Well, first he says the Silver Ranger, and then they're like, no, do one better. You'll be the Gold Ranger. And then we never hear from Fred Kelman ever.
I would have loved to have had him come back later, because like in Zeo, when they have the Gold Ranger, the black and gold, it would have been cool if he came back for that. But it also
was he
would
the
have been
kid
cool.
in the next movie?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think he ever shows up ever again.
The thing I thought was bullshit was he acts like they're best friends, but they only had 2 interactions together the whole movie.
Yeah.
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 It would have been great if the kid was like, I'll become a ranger someday. And he's like, do one better. And he's like, the White Ranger. And then Tommy just grabs him and he's like, there's only one White Ranger around here.
Stay out of my territory.
Yeah, I think that's what Laura was getting at. That's what I thought too. Like, it's like, we never heard from Fred again.
I mean, it's just a shame. It was such an easy story to just pick up from, you know, like, of course, I will say that after, I think it was 1997, maybe 96, but I think it was 97, I pretty much dropped Power Rangers as my obsession, and I moved on to Buffy.
Yep.
I was a little young for Buffy at first, but it pretty much caught my attention right from the get-go. So again, I wasn't even around to know whether or not Fred came back. And I'm sure that was probably true for most kids that watched the first 2-3 seasons of Power Rangers.
I just feel they peaked with the Zords. Like, they were so iconic, so awesome.
Yeah.
But then afterward, you had, like, the Chinese Dragon, and then, like, I don't even remember what the other Zords were. They're just, like, indescribable mechs. They didn't have any distinct shape except for the dragon, the Red Ranger, because then he could even shapeshift himself into, like, going from, like, the Chinese Dragon to, like, a samurai looking thing. I think Kimberly had, like, a phoenix, and that's it. And then I don't remember what happened afterward, but just it was so much different and nowhere near as cool as the, like, you know, the dinosaur power and then all of the things assembling, and it's the same clip they play every episode, but just I can watch that. I still watch that to this day. They got it right.
Did they continued to copy off of the Japanese show, right? When it returned to television. So were they then just beholden to whatever path that show took?
Yeah. So I mean, like, Super Sentai was already on, like, it was not on its first season. I don't have the numbers in front of me to recite which one was which, but they started, like, let's just say on season 3 by the time Power Rangers hit. So they already had enough, like, 3 seasons worth of material to jump off of. But they were still, like, a couple seasons behind on top of that. So when they evolved the story in Japan, they had to evolve the story here too.
Then Dreams by Van Halen kicks in after. And then the fireworks.
I swear to God, I could have sworn the look that Kimberly gives Tommy, they were about to kiss.
I know.
That is the look you give to someone when you're about to kiss them. And then it's just like they realize, wait, this isn't that kind of movie. And then they look back at the fireworks.
So I don't know if you guys recall the meme, the Meghan Markle meme when she's looking at Harry at the wedding. That was the look that Kimberly gave Tommy. It's just that look of, like, that's it. You're my forever. This is game over. We're done here.
It was the look Dulcea gave Adam.
I know, that's heartbreaking. We gotta send Adam back to Phaedos and he can just chill with his lady, his owl
I thought
lady
it was more
forever.
of a like, when do I tell him I'm pregnant look? That's what I got out of it.
On our planet, this is how we procreate. So, I don't know why, but I got so pumped at the end of this movie when Van Halen comes on and there's a fireworks show. Just like fist pumping.
Yeah.
Actually,
it was a nice little ending.
The look that Kimberly gives Tommy is the same look that Gal Gadot gives Chris Pine during that interview.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, where
when
she's
like she bites her lip and then she realizes like, I'm a married woman, I need to stop this.
Or just the entire Bradley Cooper Lady Gaga performance at the Oscars.
I expected them to have sex right on that stage.
On that piano.
Probably would have increased ratings over this year.
Topical.
Yeah,
So,
look at that picture and
just
tell
part
me
of the
they're not.
movie.
That's not it. Even though Tommy's completely oblivious.
Yeah. I mean, Amy Jo Johnson really sold that look for sure. That was some
did.
good eye acting.
Speaking of people who sold looks, Jason David Frank, that haircut is not dated. Still ponytail on point in this movie. Majestic locks.
And it was shaved on the sides a little bit, right? It was almost like the undercut
Yeah.
before the undercut was a thing.
Yep.
He was
For
ahead of
sure.
his time. Timeless.
Also, Nick, what the hell is this Muppet picture from earlier? I did not see that.
I told you, like the skeleton thing reminded me of the goat from
okay.
Muppet Treasure Island.
Also-
Muppet Treasure Island. Okay. I was just really caught off guard.
I think Adam and Tommy were both rocking the skinny single hoop earring from the 90s. Timeless look, of course.
Oh, the side of his head is shaved.
Yeah. I don't think Rocky had
He's
a
ahead of his
piercing. Oh, there's Adam's.
I wasn't used to post-credit scenes or mid-credit scenes. I'm conditioned for them now.
I
But
didn't know
watching
there
this
was
movie-
one.
Yeah, when so we end up cutting from the credits where we have this another round of Shampoo's Trouble that is very B-52 Love Shacky.
Yes.
But we get Rita and Zed coming back out of the snow globe and showing back up at home while Goldar's on the throne just living the life at Riley.
Oh, there's the look.
And then
Barnaby,
we
stop.
finally get the end of the movie where we get a Kung Fu Fighting remix over the end credits because this soundtrack cannot stop giving.
There's one song that's on the soundtrack that's not in the movie but only in the credits, and it's the Alpha 5 song.
I have never heard that.
Yeah. Most people haven't. It's one of the gifts of having the soundtrack.
So I think ultimately, at the end of the day, do you guys feel that this movie is held up for you?
Yes. 100%. Just needs new CGI, but other than that, I actually really enjoyed it. And again, I know it's probably driven a lot by nostalgia, but I think if you updated the CGI and stuck a 7-year-old in front of the screen to this, they would dig it for sure.
Compared to the show, it is a lot better.
It's watchable.
I mean, like, I remember it was on Netflix for a while. I don't know if it still is, the first 2 seasons, and my partner was like, how the fuck are you watching this? She obviously was not a Power Rangers child growing up. But, like, I enjoyed it. It's campy, it's stupid, the special effects were terrible, but, like, nostalgia reigns, so
Yeah.
I'm able to easily watch it. So
It's
I
just
feel like
fun. It's fun.
the same case as I remember my father and whatnot occasionally watching the old Adam West Batman show.
yeah.
And it's like, it's campy, but you grow up on it. It's something that's near and dear to you. This movie overall, I feel like it's shot well. It's done well. I actually genuinely got excited to sit down and watch it once I started getting into it, just because I remembered how much that I did not know about this movie. Because I don't think I've actually seen this since that time in like 1996 on HBO when I was a kid.
Oh yeah. No, this was for me. It's like comfort food of a movie.
It's a
So-
warm bath.
It's chicken soup for the soul.
My Plex server pretty much is all of those movies that I feel that way about.
Now, okay, Dean's suspiciously quiet. Dean is sus right now. Tell
I
us
was
how-
gonna
Dean was
go away not saying
Dean.
anything.
Dean was not a Power Rangers child. He was of the
turtle ilk.
Yes, and Mortal Kombat.
This
so.
movie holds no special place because I don't even remember it. I was gonna say
Okay,
if there
so
was
completely unbiased.
if there was a shred of character development in this movie,
a
Vulcan
shredder.
skull.
Yeah. You didn't think they were gonna do it. You didn't think they were gonna do it, and then they did it.
These two doofuses that heard, hey, there's a charity event to help save the observatory, and despite being afraid of being up in those heights, they got in that plane to save this place for those kids.
Yeah.
so I wanted to see that movie instead. Yeah, the Power Rangers learned that they just need power.
Yeah.
That's what they learned. They need power.
To be Power Rangers.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah.
And then they find out about the hidden rangers that were there before Zordon found them that ended up going evil, and Zordon put under the rug. Can we make another Power Rangers movie that has them fighting evil Power Rangers?
That would have been the sequel to the one from a couple of years back.
I mean, there was
the new comic.
The gritty James Vanderbeek online one, which, I mean, I thought was kind of cool.
It was fun.
Yeah.
The for anybody that reads the comics, they have currently running Mighty Morphin, and I think there's another one that's just Power Rangers. But one of the lines is all about Drakon, who was an alternate timeline Tommy, I believe, who decided to start like killing all the other Rangers and collecting their morphers to become the strongest Ranger. And he's like hopping timelines to bump everybody off. And I feel like that's the kind of one that would make a cool like action film of just this, like Sub-Zero in the new Mortal Kombat, of just this relentless hunting Power Ranger.
His outfit
like
looks cool because it's like an amalgamation of the green and the white outfit.
Yeah.
It's like a mashup between Highlander and The One, a Jet Li movie.
I will always have a soft spot for The One in my heart. If nothing else, for Jet Li's line at the end of the movie, "I'm Lubu, I am nobody's bitch." As Papa Roach starts blaring and he fights off 10,000 guys from this pyramid.
You know, I love that song, but I really hate how that is the only time it's used in a movie, and I feel it's just, that wasn't it. That wasn't the moment.
Yeah. So, Power Rangers.
So I loved it. And I'm really glad I was able to talk to my three best guys about it.
It was a pleasure having you on.
This was all her idea. We wouldn't have touched on Power Rangers for at least like another year, maybe two.
I know, but I mean, you guys are so good at accommodating me. So,
well, we wanted to get all these unknown little gems out of the way, like Predator, Mortal Kombat, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers, the movie.
I mean, I think the whole goal, right, is to revisit films from our childhood. And
ninjas were a really big thing in our childhood.
Yeah.
90s was ninjas, 80s was karate, 90s ninjas.
I mean, although 80s ninjas too, seeing as we had Ninja
That's
1,
true.
Ninja 2, Ninja the...
But that's Italian ninjas. That's a different genre.
Ninjetti?
Franco Nero, isn't that?
he was the original Ninjetti. With these big movies, we're trying to reel in like an audience here and then show them Mr. Boogedy.
When's Monster Squad?
You laugh. Monster Squad will eventually be my pick, but I want to do more stuff towards October.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The trick is to reel Tim in and only do one movie.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Well,
I
we'll
loved
see.
doing this. I'm so happy to be a part of it. And yeah, thank you guys. And thank you for going down this journey with me for Power Rangers.
Never again.
We'll bring you back for Spice World.
Yes. I would absolutely love that because I have not watched that in a very long time. So definitely excited for that.
So I think that wraps up another episode of Screen Refresh. Thanks for everybody for listening along and making our way through Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. If you want to let us know any movies you're interested in, how you found or enjoyed Mighty Morphin Power Rangers as a kid yourself, shoot us an email at screenrefresh@gmail.com or let us know on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Screen Refresh. We'll talk to you again later this month when we look to do our next episode of Rule of Thirds on the third Monday of the month. And meet us next month again at the first Monday of the month when we do whatever movie we end up with now. Bye.